Ryan Weathers hasn't thrown more than 94 and 2/3 innings, Jake, in any season of his entire career. This is the storyline. We've talked about this off air, on air. We said this before the season during spring training. Then he was getting lit up. That was still the story. It wasn't stuff, right? And Jake, wouldn't it be crazy if I told you that was 5 years ago when he was pitching for the San Diego Padres? ERA wasn't very good. It was 5.30. And then, of course, it was 10 the next season, but he only threw 3 1/3. So you know the story there. The story is injuries. He was sent to Miami where he learned to pitch. And the problem still, Jake, was that the performance increased. The availability didn't. That's a problem when you're a professional athlete. So Miami shipped him to us, a team waiting on Garrett Cole off of Tommy John, a returning Max Fried, Carlos Rodon, who eventually would deal with injuries of his own, Cam Schlittler, who's now our ace, and Will Warren. So really, as far as pressure goes, there was hardly any. And you look up and you say that this team, because of their depth, they can deal with this problem in Ryan Weathers with his injury history. And if you take a peek at our bullpen, and people clamor about that, how bad the back end looks, how bad the bridging is to get over to the 8th and 9th inning, you could even make the argument that Ryan Weathers probably could have started in the bullpen. But now here we are. He's more than halfway to his 2021 totals in terms of innings. And the plan now to move him to the bullpen, considering how he's performing against a really good Rays team today, I think they deserve a ton of credit for their style of play. Dominant. Absolutely dominant. The move to the pen feels limiting, if you ask me. And Jake, of course, we're going to talk about that at depth. But welcome back to Yankees Unloaded, powered by Prize Picks. I'm Gary Sheffield Jr. That is Jake Ellenbogen. Also brought to you by our boys here in Jersey Mike's. I'm kidding. We're not sponsored by Jersey Mike's. They somehow, I don't know if we ever will, especially after I say this, they forgot to toast my Philly cheesesteak. And so never heard of a Philly cheesesteak that's not toasted, but yeah. And then they turned the
sponsorship.
Then there it is. They turned it around and asked me to tip someone who made a fast food.
We do have Energizer to help us because my keyboard just died. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You know the culture now. Now fast food is asking for tips. This is no longer chill. Everything's Chili's now, they think, right? We'll talk up Trent Grisham. Jake, you and I were just talking off air. I mean, Trent Grisham, the at-bats, good. The defense, bad in center field. And
so bad.
Traditionally, the center fielder is a really good defender. And to be fair, we'll talk whether or not the weather had an impact. Obviously, you saw some wonky reads. Aaron Judge on the base pass, they expected balls to go over his head. It didn't. Cody Bellinger, maybe a couple reads that were off in left field today. But overall, Trent Grisham was just lost defensively. And we don't want to pick on him with one thing and not give him props for the other. Offensively, he was everything we needed at the top. And obviously, huge break, uncharacteristic. Jake, you were just laughing about it off air. Tampa's error on the base pass, getting hosed at third base when a runner is scoring practically automatically without a throw at home plate. Just boneheaded, but again, heads up from Cody Bellinger, understanding where the play is even possible to be made. And he makes that throw, and that's something we've complimented Belly on many times, is the fact that he doesn't just bring the bat, the versatility, he brings the arm with him. And the arm saved us in that moment. So want to give Belly some props. But yeah, again, weird decision from the Tampa's part. And lastly, we'll discuss these Adley Rutschman rumors because, Jake, social media is starting to get heavy for whatever that's worth. And we'll talk about whether or not he fits with the Yankees. And if you take a quick peek at the catcher's room, he fits. So we'll talk that. But Jake, let's start with Ryan Weathers, because our takeaway 2 weeks ago was that his performance is deserving of a starting role. You could even make the argument that we might trust him more than even a Rodon or whoever else. But what are your thoughts on this performance tonight? Do you feel like what we watched, he's trying out to stay in the rotation, or is the bullpen that bad where we have to move this guy because of his injury history and move him over to the pen now?
Yeah, I think every single piece of dialogue on Ryan Weathers has been fair. I think people were concerned, such as myself, about the injuries when they acquired him. I was wrong. I think people had every right to be concerned about the pitch count, the inning limit.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely fair. Go back to Gary's point on Marcus Stroman. Hey, enjoy this because he doesn't get past this and do well. I think the point made about keeping him in the rotation because he continues to be really effective is fair. This is one of the more, I would say, dynamic topics that we're going to see really blow up in the next week or so from this start, going toe-to-toe with Rasmussen. Here's my thing, okay? I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think as great as he looks, I still think the innings thing is fair. And I think even with the innings, I still think if you're on the side of wanting him to stay in the rotation, look how great he looks, right? So I just think it's one of those interesting things where there's not really a wrong answer here because I think he's going to be effective in whatever he does. And there's an argument to be made on both sides. We're talking about 7 innings pitched, only 4 hits given up. He's got a 3.14 ERA this year, okay? He's been everything and more what they were hoping for. But to do it against this Tampa, offense that their entire point is, they're just going to put the ball in play. They don't care how it looks. So, they're going to grind out at bats and all of that. Like, I mean, to see Weathers do this and he's been doing this. But we always use against the Yankees, they can't beat a team above 500 and all that. Well, I never see people talking about, well, Cam Schlittler was great, but he pitched against so-and-so. Like, it doesn't feel the same way with pitchers and just players in general. Like, well, I think Judge gets hit with that a lot. But for the most part, I don't think, players are held accountable for who they play against. And I think that's absolutely fair, and that's how it should be. But when you do pitch against top teams and you neutralize them the way Weathers did, and you give your team ultimately a shot, despite the fact, by the way, a lot of pressure on him. Division game, they lose this one, they probably have no shot of winning the division tiebreaker.
Yeah, that'd be down 6-0 at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It would have been absolutely ridiculous. So, a lot of pressure here, and let's just call it like it is, Gary. He had no run support to speak of. No. So, this is awesome. This is awesome stuff, and this is high leverage stuff. We're talking about a high leverage start, not a position, not an inning you were in. The entire start was like a playoff game. And he showed up and showed out and gave the Yankees ultimately a chance to end up winning this ball game. So to correct you would have been 5-0 in the regular season series. But still, 5-0 is huge, Gary. They're only playing 13 games.
Yeah, that season series was a wrap. If we had lost today, it didn't feel important. The game was ugly, right? The stands weren't packed. It doesn't feel important. But at the end of the year, if Tampa's for real, which we both believe that they are, me probably a little bit more than you, well, you're not going to be running down anybody down 5-0, especially considering the fact they've now come to your building and played well. And you also expect later in the season with this postponement that you're going to be playing another game back at the stadium. But there's actually a comparison that I wanted to make. And I'm actually going to take a stand because you answered this, which I'm glad you did. And you said, no matter what you do with Ryan Weathers, it's still a fine decision. You can make the argument for both. Ryan Weathers is throwing well enough where you can just say he's a starter. Fair. Here's the thing. Team fit matters to me. When I pay attention to not just the player and what works for them, injury history, high output. Obviously, we see Marion in the comment section who's left us a super chat, and I'll put that up here now. Who mentions, and by the way, I'm glad, Jake, I did take a picture of the super chat because it sure did disappear, the one before that.
Oh, dude.
And I've got you guys covered, so we're all good here. Marion with the 2, we really appreciate it. Says Marlon's basically your farm system.
I
You're
found
welcome. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Now, mind you, Marion, again, thank you for the super chat and all your support. We are really appreciative of you guys being the farm system, but in all seriousness here, the Yankees bringing Ryan Weathers here is like the inverse of Seth Lugo. Kansas City was like, oh, this guy's a bullpen guy. We could trust him to be in a Ryan Weathers role. We can trust him, what San Diego did with Michael King via the trade from the Yankees. He's now a starter. We're going to push him into the rotation, and we're going to get those extra innings. Here's the issue. None of those 2 players I named for you guys had major injury risk, whereas Ryan Weathers does. And to be fair, it's always been he gets either hit with a line drive. It's always something that gets him off the field. To be fair to him, and Jake, this is a point that you've also brought up, but one issue for me, one way or the other, if Ryan Weathers comes off the mound due to injury, whether he's in the bullpen or he's a starter, that kills the Yankees. And it kills any opportunity between now and the early August deadline. That's a long ways away. Brian Cashman won't have the means now to really fix the bullpen to the level we think it should be fixed. And someone, don't know who that's going to be, is moving to the bullpen. They're not deploying a 6-man rotation. It doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't, especially, Jake, when you're talking about a postseason team, a team expecting to play in October. They're more than likely going to move to a 4-man rotation. Do you really want to play a 6-man rotation all season long and be like, hey, I know we're not even going to move to 5. We're going to move to 4. That's probably not what you want to do for players that are returning from injury, is change everything about what they prepare for. So I say all that to say this. The Yankees should prioritize Ryan Weathers' health. That's my opinion. And people can take that as I can't possibly justify taking someone's performance that Ryan Weathers has given us. He was brilliant today against one of the better teams in baseball, a team I've given a ton of credit to. But the one thing I can't see, I would rather see a regression of performance than Ryan Weathers come off the mound. I prioritize his arm and his body. I put him in the bullpen, and I consider how bad that group is off this roster. And when I consider both of those things, Ryan Weathers, despite how he's playing, he's really going to be my long reliever, that Michael King 2.0 from the left side. And it seems like a demotion, but when October comes, it's not going to feel that way.
No, I think that's definitely fair. I think when it comes to Ryan Weathers, you're probably looking at him. Isn't he? He's around 54 innings pitched, I believe.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah. It's
he's somewhere in that ballpark.
57 and a third. Okay.
57 and a third, which is, we're now talking about getting almost 2/3 the way of anything we've ever seen before. No one's seen what it looks like at 100 innings because it doesn't exist. Do you just pitch him until Fried comes back? Or are you prioritizing his health so much that you're sending him to the bullpen before Fried comes back? This sounds silly because
it's a good question.
No, so your question is good.
Yeah.
Because technically speaking, I have to ask the question, do I have someone who can fill in as a starter in the meantime until Fried's ready if I make that choice right away? Ryan Weathers can be a help to the Yankees, say 4 or 5 days from now, out of the bullpen. And I think he would have more of an impact for this year's team there, helping the pen on a day-to-day basis than he does every 5th or 6th day with a 6-man rotation. Now, that all comes down to how much you trust ERC. How much do you trust any of these prospects to come up and make an impact? If you think they're not ready, in ERC, you can make the argument one way or the other. If you trust ERC to be comparable during the regular season, right? Couple starts, 2, 3, 4 starts, maybe even all the way up to the break. Like you actually give him a long leash the way the Yankees gave to Cody Poteet a couple years ago. Well, now that answers your question. You can afford to put Ryan Weathers there out the bullpen. But Jake, if you don't trust ERC, if you don't trust someone else to step in his place and give you something comparable, it really forces Ryan Weathers to put his health on the line, which I don't like. I don't love it. So it sounds silly because we're saying like he's going out to war, like, oh, you're on the line. But a pitcher that's never thrown 100 innings his whole life, you're asking him to do something he's quite literally never done and expecting something different to happen for you. I'm not saying it won't happen. But I'm saying, given the stakes, I don't try it.
I think that's fair. Me personally, I'm rolling with Ryan Weathers until Fried is back. I'm not going to weaken my starting rotation. I might be weakening it when Fried comes back, to be fair, but I'm not going to weaken it right now, knowing how this offense is playing, because I know the offense won them the game technically, but the defensive side and the pitching pitched a shutout. And they didn't just pitch a shutout against any team. They pitched a shutout against the Tampa Bay Rays, who are 34-16 right now. So that holds weight, in my opinion. And the way I see it is that this offense is really struggling. I know they had 7 hits today. And I know Aaron Boone said they swung the bat well. I don't care. This isn't Little League. Like, I don't want to be hearing. That? No, like the last game.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I did bring that quote out. He did say that.
I don't care. Like, when I say this isn't Little League, like, I remember when I would go in the car after Little League and, whatever, and I might have struck out. My dad said, well, you had some nice cuts. That tells me I didn't play well. Like, now, that's what I want to hear when I'm a younger kid.
Yeah.
But when I'm older, I don't want to hear that, right? Because I can see through that. I'm not an innocent little kid anymore, right? And that's the same thing. And so I didn't love hearing that, but I understand they do their little PR thing, and they just are like, all right, pretend everyone around you is the dumbest person imaginable, and then talk. There you go.
Did your dad do that to you, by the way, when you were a kid? Like, honestly, did he say, hey, you took some pretty good hacks?
He threw the good cuts thing in there every now and then. But my dad never left it at just like the casual dad who doesn't know baseball. I was like, oh, you took some nice swings there. No,
interesting.
Like, I don't know why he sounds like an 80-year-old man, but anyway.
Yeah. I'm from a Jewish mother, so when I got in the car, she would just be like, man, you suck today. and she's in here. She's in here every night.
Yeah.
She'll tell you.
That's my dad would tell me, like, straight up, like, he'd break it down. He'd be like, yes, you're putting your foot in the bucket, or, you're bobbing your head. And he's like, and this is how guys get into, because this idea that you can do everything perfect at the next level, you could do it in the MLB, is just not true. It's why we have slumps. Big reason. I remember A-Rod spoke about this. He had one of the largest slumps of his career one of the years in New York. And I remember him saying he figured it out. For whatever reason, there was something in his batting stance where he was like bobbing his head. So it makes it's giving the pitcher a free breaking pitch, even when it's not a breaking pitch, because your head is moving up and down, your eyes are moving up and down. And so, like, that's type of stuff that, he'd point out, because it was never just as simple as, yeah, nice swing. Like, my dad would always be like, well, so I saw this. And that's honestly, I think, what led me to being like an analyst for like sports.
So you'd prefer to get analysis from your parent, even though it's not like most people's situations, their parents didn't play professional sports. So you telling me something, more than likely it's either not going to be accurate, or it's like I could question it one way or the other. And I would still rather someone just be like, you're 0 for 4. Hey, man, you're due. Things will fall. No, just tell me what you think you saw, right? And so, yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. You look at, obviously, something that Alex Rodriguez, this is a Hall of Fame level baseball player. Slumps don't happen because you're unlucky. Slumps happen because your mechanics are where you don't think. You think your mechanics are something, and they're another. That's all really slumping is. And a lot of these players, they've been playing since they were a little kid. I think we forget that, is that we all played, most of us, so you play Little League Baseball, Babe Ruth, Pony League. You go up to high school, junior high, high school, and they just got to continue playing and living out that dream. And people come up to them and they're like, hey, you've always been the best at this. And now all of a sudden they can't figure it out. But that's why also, Jake, just the other day, we wanted to do like a Wells, right?
It's all mental.
Deep tape.
It's all mental, because you'll make subtle adjustments, as you know. You play baseball. Anyone who's played baseball, golf, you've shot at basketball, right? These are subtle adjustments that need to be made, and sometimes they're made the opposite way. Like, they can be made to help you, or they can be made to hurt you. And it's all mental. Like, if you're not getting results, especially for me, what I find myself is when I'm on the golf course, so I do this every time because I'm not very good. So like when I'm struggling, like I'll change up my swing. Like I'll be like, what am I doing wrong? Like I totally, striped that one the last time. Like that was great. And then this one, I thought it was the same swing. And then I'm like, all right, well, I did this the last time. And now I'm trying to emulate what I did the last time, but it's actually causing me to use a different grip or whatever it is, right? And
but if you saw the film, it would probably show you. You just see it right away. And that's
but you don't know that in the moment. Another thing, like I just bowled, like you're a great bowler, right? I'm not. But it's funny because
I don't know if I'd say great. I can break 200.
Okay, you break 200, so you're astronomically better than the average person.
I wasted money on a bowling ball, yes.
So I guess the way I would say it is like for me, like I am just casually bowling today, and I will pick up a bowling ball and be like, all right, this is kind of light, whatever. Because I'm like Bonds when it comes to, I want the lightest bowling ball possible. I don't want like a heavy bowling ball. Also, I broke fingers, so like it makes it really tough.
I can't believe anyone's compared themselves in any way, shape, or form to Barry Bonds.
No, just because like he had
like, I'm the Barry Bonds of bowling. No. And would you bowl again? Can you remind him?
84. No,
he
the point
84.
The point being is the thing I always loved about Bonds is he would say he wanted the lightest bat possible, right?
Yeah.
And that to me is like, I want the lightest like bowling ball, right? But I am so casual, I don't give a shit. Like if I have a strike with that, I don't care. It doesn't have to be the same ball. I'm tired of waiting for the ball to get, come down. So like, I'll literally just pick up a different ball. But like the point is, that's if I switch like bowling balls, like the weight and everything, the mechanics are going to be different. You know what I mean? So it's like that little difference. It's the same thing throwing a football. Your quarterback. Oh, that throw was better than that throw, but why? Oh, well, I used more of my legs in that. The more leg drive in that, the wrist action, that ball's going to go further. That ball's going to be more accurate to where I need it to go. Whereas the other one is not, because I didn't have enough leg drive and I didn't have a great, sense of wrist action on it. So the ball didn't get there.
By the way, Jake, I have actually a question about mechanics since we're on this
bowling unloaded
topic. Bowling unloaded. Since we're on the topic of mechanics, do you think that Ryan Weathers' injury history, the Yankees considered it before they made the trade? Brian Cashman isn't a moron. Well, obviously not everybody would agree in the room and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but he knows the injury. He knows why he got him, right? Miami doesn't want this guy because they don't want to wait around for this type of injury history. We have the depth to deal with it. We'll give you this prospect. You give us this player in exchange. Deal. Do you think the Yankees feel like it was a mechanical issue that was causing these injuries over the years? Or do you think it was just a Brian Cashman saying, just chalking it up to luck and rolling the dice again? Because you have to keep in mind, Matt Blake's a great pitching coach, but I wonder how much health is weighed in terms of which pitching coaches keep guys healthy as opposed to others. Maybe you could argue guys in Pittsburgh, like you see, a Bubba Chandler, you see guys like that giving max effort. Whereas a lot of guys in the Yankees rotation, you don't see max effort. You just don't see that, right? It seems like Cam Schlittler isn't just unloading fastballs as hard as he can possibly throw. It doesn't feel like Garrett Cole does that, right? So Will Warren, same concept. Do you feel like this is a mechanical thing that's working for Ryan Weathers in the pinstripes, or do you just feel like they brought him here and just said, I hope it works for us?
I think it's a mechanical thing. I think also keep in mind, people, and we were giving Matt Blake some flack the other day. We like Matt Blake, but we don't think he's perfect, right? And no one's perfect. But I think it kind of gets lost where it's like Matt Blake, everyone focuses on unlocking. That's always the first thing people think of is unlocking, adding this, adding that, transformative, right? But what they don't talk about is maybe, hey, this is an easier way to throw the baseball without getting hurt. It's not unlocking anything. Like, I'm not saying that Ryan Weathers hasn't unlocked anything, but I'm saying I think there's a chance that they bring in players like this with the intention of Matt Blake can do a good job of building this guy up to the point where he fixes his mechanics so he's not getting injured or is less likely to get injured.
Well, kind of to the point that you also brought up with Clark Schmidt, right? Clark Schmidt is a guy that you really like at the back end of the bullpen.
I do.
Whether it's closer or not, they mentioned pitch mix, right? And he was working on a certain pitch that last year he said, we figured out it was actually straining my UCL in that ligament. We're going to scratch that pitch altogether. People have to remember the players don't find this stuff out themselves.
Yes.
The pitching coach is involved with that. The training staff's involved with that. So it's not just the player by himself staying healthy. Everyone as a collective group has to find out how to keep these guys on the field. And if that means ditching a split finger altogether, because predominantly the splitter, you're flexing your UCL every time you throw that pitch. It's devastating to the elbow. Now, mind you, just because you throw a splitter doesn't mean you're going to explode, but you have to be understanding of the risk and the injury risk for your personal body. So yeah, I'd be curious if they decided this is more of a Miami Marlins and a San Diego Padres issue and not a Yankees issue. We'll bring him in here. And if they believe that, which they very well could, because Jake, we know they have analytics that almost to a fault in New York, you could say the Yankees believe in their training staff and what they've discovered with Ryan Weathers, where they're just going to leave him in the rotation and not throw him to the bullpen. Maybe they trust 160 innings is on its way. That's a possibility. So if it is, maybe the Yankees, I think the Yankees wouldn't tell us this because it would kind of in a way be dogging on other organizations. But Jake, if they did, and if they're right, then yeah, I guess sending him to the bullpen would be a bad move.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess we'll see, right? I don't know for sure. I don't want to give somebody, just like I don't want to get somebody in trouble for something they didn't do. I don't want to give somebody credit when I don't know if I should be giving them credit.
We're like,
right?
maybe they're geniuses and they discovered something, and it's like, really, Brian Cashman was like, just bring him in. Like, didn't think about it at all.
In reality, it was just like they're having it over dinner and they're like, this Weathers guy, he can throw the ball, but he never is healthy. Maybe if we, talk into our magic 8-ball, maybe they'll give us some luck. Like, I mean, I don't feel like there was a lot to it, but maybe there was. I don't know.
They believe in postseason luck. We know that for certain because of
Lord.
the word choice. If you just pay attention to the words out of their mouth,
shoot.
You hear crap shoot, you hear bad luck, right? So you're just indicating that there's a lot of things out of your control. Injuries are one of those things. Is it in your control or is it not? Well, if you dive into a wall, that seems like it was in your control. Aaron Judge, right? You break your toe on the outfield wall in LA. That's a situation where you could have controlled that. But how much control do we get if Ryan Weathers just throws a baseball and feels something? Doesn't feel like we have much, but I'd imagine some of these groups, our staff, they probably think, oh no, we can fix that. That guy couldn't pitch long. We can get him on the mound to be durable. And I have a feeling that Matt Blake believes in his group to that level. And I want to get to some super chats. Don't want to keep you guys waiting. Again, guys, really appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Clean.
Especially on a holiday weekend. We really appreciate that. Says Mr. Clean, welcome back with the 2. Says, who we got to give up to get? He's obviously talking to Adley Rutschman. Jake, what do you think that would cost real quick here? Because you have to keep in mind, this is a surplus situation for Baltimore. This isn't, we want to get rid of him and he's at the top of the market. This is you chose this player at that position and you're choosing. This is really NFL situation, Jake. What do you want to give up for Kirk Cousins? He's your backup quarterback and you don't want to play him, but he's still a good player. What do you think it'll cost the Yankees to go get Adley?
Oh, man.
Good old Kirk Cousins, huh?
Austin Wells is going to be a part of that deal. I think he would.
So now we owe him more. So just giving him Austin Wells will probably
I think
all
right, how about
give us
Jason
negative value
Dominguez, Austin Wells? Because understand the Yankees aren't going to give up top prospect. They're just not going to do it. So if they were to do this trade, they would give up an MLB player. It would be Jason Dominguez or it would be Spencer Jones, Austin Wells. Is Basallo a lefty or a righty?
A lefty.
Yep.
I believe. Yeah.
Okay. I still think they would want Wells. Because I think they like the dual. Yeah, I mean, if Rutschman wasn't like up for a new contract, he would he would be staying. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think they want him to go, but I think they're in on Basalo. Like, that's their guy. I'm going to say Jason Dominguez / Spencer Jones. So one of those guys.
I go pack Wells bags tonight.
Austin Wells. Well, Jason Dominguez, Spencer Jones. Austin Wells. I think they'd be pushing for Lagrange. They'd be pushing for ERC. I think they would get Ben Hess.
Okay.
That would probably be the trade. It's a rental. You're trading intra-division. I think that's a fair trade. I don't actually know if Rutschman is going to be better at the end of his career than Jason Dominguez. But what I know is that right now Jason Dominguez is a good player who we haven't seen enough of, but he's also banged up right now. So the value is going to be lower. So it's not like you're trading Dominguez at his highest point. But like one thing that I think is kind of funny, Gary, is that people say, you know, these prospects, they devalue as soon as you call them up to the big leagues. But how many times does it feel like teams really want major league players? Even if it's not like the NFL where it's like, I'm going to trade draft picks for Joe Burrow, right? Like in baseball, you would think it's prospects for the big time player. And that's how it used to be. But it feels like lately we see a lot more main pieces are MLB starters. Like they want MLB players. And so I think you'd probably have to offer somebody like that.
Yeah. And those prospects, I would say it's still the nature of what people are talking about by like, oh, I don't want to send that prospect because we have so much control. Prospects aren't that cheap. Once you call up a prospect and he goes through year 3 as a professional baseball player, yeah, you had him for cheap and for years 1 through 3. But what's going on year 4, 5, and 6? Arbitration. Pittsburgh and
they act like arbitration doesn't exist. It's
they
bizarre.
Act like arbitration is just not a part of the equation.
They got 6 years of control. It's like, well, you're going to have to pay him at $10 million for like half of those years.
Juan Soto signed for a record at arbitration. It's the biggest contract ever for arbitration. He made over $30 million before ever becoming a free agent. They had to front that bill. He was a rich man in New York, ladies and gentlemen. So prospects are cheap, but Anthony Volpe, I mean, his debut was in 2023. Guys, it's 2026. He's a millionaire. We pay him millions of dollars to do what he's been doing. He right now is a platoon second baseman, in my opinion. We pay him millions of dollars. Not cheap anymore. After 2 or 3 seasons with the Yankees. And by the way, guys, it wasn't a great performance with the Yankees. And if he played better and lived up to those expectations, and I wish him the best, he'd be even more expensive. So when people talk about sending prospects away, they act like you get them for free for a decade. You don't. If they end up being any good, or if they're great, you're going to pay them like they're great right away. And for the most part, Jake, what are all the teams rushing to do right now? You find out a prospect's great, and what are they doing? Oh, let's give Connor Griffin. Let's go ahead and give him that extension now. He'll be worth it. Oh, Bobby Witt Jr., he ends up being a superstar. Did they let him play out, Jake, until arbitration? Nope. Here's that long $311 million deal. Gotta have it. That's what teams are doing. So you just have to remember, for these major markets, they need to find talent. Major markets, find talent and find a way to hold on to them. Keep them healthy. Find a fit on your roster. And Jake, last point I'll make, you look at our catcher's room. What do we need now more? A catcher or an outfielder? This has nothing to do with Jason Dominguez. It has nothing to do with Austin Wells. What do we need more? The catcher. So when it comes to who's traded, who comes in the room, who leaves the room, you have to consider that. You have to consider the fact that JC Escar and Austin Wells are almost net zeros if we're even being generous. Their wars, both of them might be below 0 at the end of the season, and Austin Wells might float past that due to pitch framing, not throwing or hitting any of it. So Jake, whatever it costs for Adley Rutschman, I mean, it's not like this is a superstar, but given his skill set, he's a huge upgrade for the Yankees. And the only thing I'll say about Adley Rutschman, where I doubt he'd be sent to New York, is the fact that that's in division, but we've seen crazier things. We saw Tampa sent us a player that we now use as our starting shortstop. So I guess we'll see how this bounces for us.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think Adley makes a lot of sense. Obviously, it would help having a switch hitter. That would be freaking dope, honestly, a switch hitting catcher.
It'd be great.
Yeah, it does add. I mean, now, say you don't part with Jason Dominguez, you got 2 switch hitting players in your lineup. Switch hitters are like a dying breed, too. When the hell do you see switch hitters nowadays?
And to be fair, we didn't think Jason Dominguez really was a switch hitter. He hadn't shown any success at the minor league level, right-handed.
Yeah.
And he didn't show us anything right-handed till this year. So props to him. But yeah, to your point, Baltimore is going to get something from you. They know they're not sending Adley for just nothing.
That's a real interesting thing there, by the way. Like having 2 switch hitters in your lineup creates it's a matchup. It's definitely a chess piece. It's like, yeah, I actually really like that. I like Rutschman a lot. I'm not really worried. I know he had a 709 OPS, hit 250, and then last year he hit 220 with a 673. No one's saying that Adley Rutschman isn't a bust based on he was the number 1 overall pick. No one's, not saying that, right? Like, it's very obvious he didn't live up to the hype. The hype was crazy. It was heavy. But does that mean that he's not a good baseball player? No, he's definitely a good baseball player. And he's not a bad defender at all. Like, it's funny because I feel like there are some people that have kind of just said he struggles at the plate and then automatically your defense gets thrown away. It's like he's a great fielder. And this year he has an 827 OPS. He's hitting 263.
Jake, would you say a week ago you're prioritizing what?
I'm prioritizing the bat.
Thank you.
But here's the thing. Gary, you know what they say about Austin Wells? We love his framing.
What do they say?
We love his framing. Well, guess what? Adley Rutschman, according to this, is the best framer in the entire league. So Austin Wells has nothing on Adley Rutschman. Nothing.
Is there anything you guys can come up with that Adley Rutschman wouldn't upgrade for the 2026 New York Yankees? Can anyone think of one single thing? There's not. And you have to consider fit. The catching position is awful in New York. Right now, if I'm the Yankees, the way I look at it is that you have 2 problems. One, you have a surplus in the outfield of talent when healthy, and not everybody can find a spot to play. One of those guys that are playing, he played well today offensively in Trent Grisham. And now you really have nowhere to put Jason Dominguez. You've got Cody Bellinger. You've got Judge. You need to figure out who are your mainstays, who's playing every day. The Yankees have to solve that, but that's on the back burner. The biggest thing they have to solve is probably catcher and bullpen depth. How do you solve those 2 things? Giovanni Cruz is a solution for that. Ryan Weathers, and we've talked about our prompt, is also a potential solution to that when everyone's healthy. But you look over at the catcher's position. Where's the solution there?
Yeah.
There's no solution. Jake, you and I talked about splits. I'm glad you brought up those numbers on our show. You were like, oh, well, Wells hits righties and JC hits lefties, but was it at a great clip for either? No,
and also
none of it was great.
JC, the sample size is so low. So like he's Ted Williams in like 11 games.
Yeah. So basically what McMahon did last year in the postseason, except, slightly longer. But I guess what we're saying here is if you have no sample size to really speak of, we can't really say it's a trend. It's not anything.
Oh, and by the way, there was one comment. I'm doing it again.
Oh, God, Jake.
There was a comment I just saw. Oh, okay.
Guys, all Jake has to do is hit the star next to the chat. And
I love Devin,
it for
right? Devin's always in our show. He's wrong here, okay? Not wrong because he's not saying anything. Like, switchers still have splits like anyone. I never saw the point.
They do have splits. That's correct.
You're absolutely right. But before I even brought up, well, I didn't bring up Adley. I think you brought up Adley. It was a while back.
Yes.
But I just wanted to give you the splits for this year, okay? He's hitting 278 against right-handed pitching and an 848 OPS. And against left-handed pitching, he's hitting 260 with an 809 OPS. So he's better against right-handed pitching, without a doubt. But he's still really good, like overall. Like, so I'm not really worried about being marginal. Like, that's the thing. Like, I know that there's splits, and I know you know that. But, like, for his career, actually, what's so fascinating to me is he's actually worse against right-handed pitching. So this year, it shows maybe some improvement in that area. But right-handed pitching, he hits 247 with a 746 OPS for his career. And left-handed pitching, he hits 277 with a 798 OPS. Either way, that player is astronomically leaps and bounds ahead of Wells.
Jake, did you just say he's a better hitter as a right-handed hitter?
Yeah. Well, for his career.
Okay, perfect. So
because you're going the opposite. Jason Dominguez is not. He's better as a lefty.
Fine.
Yeah. So you have. Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Here's actually what we should take away here. Isn't that the problem with the Yankees right now? They can't hit left-handed pitching. We struggled today against a righty. There's no question about that. But look at the roster. When a righty who's like, I mean, Jake, when we're sitting here talking about, we saw a lefty. Who leads off? Paul Goldschmidt, right? Paul Goldschmidt leads off. Cody Bellinger hits second. He's got reverse splits. Aaron Judge hits third, right? Or, vice versa. And all of a sudden, they're having decisions to make about Ben Rice. Now he finally starts. Jazz Chisholm doesn't hit lefties, right? Austin Wells doesn't hit lefties. Ryan McMahon doesn't hit lefties. The left-handed pitcher becomes a weapon against the Yankees.
It does.
Always has been. It's always been a problem. So really, if Adley was a right-handed hitter only, it'd still be a brilliant pickup. Just so happens he can hit left-handed, and he catches at your weakest position in the entire field. This is a can't miss. This is a can't miss if you're Brian Cashman. If this is available to you, which again, we're not privy to that information. We're just two jabroni podcasters listening and just going with where the wind blows us. We're just telling you, when your catcher's room looks the way it looks, and you look across the way in division and you see Adley Rutschman, you say, oh my God. What, Jake, you just listed me ops in the 800s. When was the last time we saw an ops in the 800s? Gary Sanchez, and Gary Sanchez couldn't block. Gary Sanchez couldn't block anything as a catcher. His knee was on the ground to try and anticipate blocking, and he still couldn't block. Had a hose for an arm. He wasn't a catcher. He was a short,
interesting.
He was really a first baseman. I'm mean, let's be real. What's interesting?
We're going with splits, right? Well, I figured I'd look at ballparks. He's not good at Yankee Stadium. I'm here to tell you I don't care. I just want to make that clear because people were talking about that with Bregman. We talked about that. We actually brought that up. I was just
going to bring that up to you.
I don't care, right? 224, 591 OPS in 111 plate appearances. That's terrible. But that's against Yankees pitching. So I'm actually not worried at all.
Yep.
But guess what? You know what splits you can be happy about?
What's
against the rivals? Because that's against the pitching that he would still be facing if he was on the Yankees. So get this. Toronto's the big one here. In 124 plate appearances, 299 with a 929 OPS at Rogers Center. Yes. That's all I needed to know. He's not good against Tampa. What would it actually matter
what he did against? Because you have to remember, what would it actually matter what he does against pitching for players that it's on his team now?
Exactly.
It has no impact whatsoever. People act like, oh, this guy goes to Fenway Park and he just sees better. No, he sees Red Sox pitching. That's what happens when he goes to Fenway. Nobody talks about that. They just act like the guy goes to Yankee Stadium and he went out to Del Frisco's and he went to Peter Luger and then he walked in and saw the bright lights and he freaked out. No, he saw Garrett Cole. He saw Cam Schlittler. This isn't again, guys, this isn't in analytics. This is where the human element has to take over and utilize analytics the right way. Jake, you love to talk about splits rather than just obsessing and gawking over the analytic and the nerd numbers. Just finding splits and understanding, hey, maybe we can just use our heads and realize that perhaps we can give more credit to the talent on the field. And when we go to Rogers Center, which the numbers that you just brought up, How is it that we don't talk about the fact that he hits their pitching staff? You don't want him on your team?
Exactly.
That's the team you have to beat. Oh, let's see what he does at Tropicana Field. Let's see what he does against Tampa's pitching staff. Let's see what he does against their bullpen. And if he rakes against those two teams, you mean to tell me you are now more so considering what he does against the Pinstripes when he's about to put them on? Doesn't make sense. None.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Jake,
and
now that you bring up those numbers,
yes,
Adley Rutschman has to become a Yankee.
He also
and
hits
of course Baltimore makes that call
against Toronto for his career. So it goes
oh my
up.
God.
Like even if he's not at Rogers Center, he just hits really well against Toronto. Tampa, he doesn't hit that well. It's 223, 731. Here's why I don't care. He's played the actual Tampa Rays that he's going to see. He's played them, 4 times already, if even. So I focus more on that season. But, I mean, Toronto's not that much of a different team. So to be hitting 320 and a 982 OPS is pretty insane. It's also one of the highest OPS values he has against any team. He's surprisingly really good against the A's, over 1,000 OPS against them.
The A's are somewhat underrated at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Astros, he's fantastic. So if the Astros ever get their shit together, he hits 319 with a 907 OPS. He's great against the Royals, 301, 837 OPS. He's really good against the Angels. He hits 303. The Red Sox 242 with a 713 OPS.
The Angels, who's not good against the Angels?
Yeah, no, that's true. But I guess really the big thing here is that he offers something. This isn't just a guy here. Like he offers something here, and I think the thing when you look at him, you're seeing somebody that is really even keel. Like his worst years, like he's consistent in who he is. He's not a streaky guy. I mean, here's a good example. His high leverage numbers, okay, for his career. He hits 244 and he has a 763 OPS. High leverage, he has a 340 on base. That's the thing I care about the most. He gets on base when need be. I don't need him in high leverage to hit bombs. I don't, right?
Oh, you're not gawking over slugging percentage with guys?
No, I don't. I don't give a rippy doodah about that. But here's the thing that's so funny that you bring that up. Slugging percentage, 422. Medium leverage, 419. Low leverage, 417. It's all right there, Gary. His high leverage numbers, 244, 264, and 253 batting average. The thing that we've been preaching forever is how consistent the Yankees are about not doing things in runners in scoring position, but ultimately they're consistent in a bad way. Rutschman he's consistent in just a solid way. He's a really solid baseball player, and there are some cases, especially when he sees the Toronto Blue Jays, for whatever reason, he's got an axe to grind against them. He absolutely goes nuclear. And that's the thing is I'm getting a player, if you go out and you get Rutschman, you have to know you're getting a player who really understands how to be consistent and keep just being himself. It does not too high, not too low. Runners in scoring position, it's 250, right? But his on-base percentage is 353. Like, that's exactly what you want, you know? So, yeah, you don't need to be the hero coming to the Yankees. But if he was a piece for the Yankees, that would be something else. I think.
Yeah, and Jake, can we also start a kind of the stat that you just brought up here? And you just did a sneak peek. Hitting with runners in score position, the Yankees are dismal. It's a barnyard explosion. I'm actually I want to right now just start a wave of Yankees fans that want to see batting average with runners in scoring position on the Jumbotron. We need to make this mainstream. What is your batting average with a man on third and second base when we need a hit? Batting average is probably a little overstated in today's game, right? Not anymore, right? It used to be you need to hit if you hit 300, have 30 bombs, and you drive in 100, you're a superstar. Now guys can hit 261, hit 40 bombs, drive in 86, and they just chalk it up to that guy let off. He pretty much just he gets it started. Nobody's on base, but that's what we want him to do. Well, you look up at the game today, Jake, I just feel like with a guy on second and third base, there's clearly a job to do. If you walk, that doesn't obviously count towards your batting average. But if you're putting the ball in play and you're just, oh, I hit the ball hard, that's bad luck. That's not what we needed from you. We need you in ways, and we've criticized Trent Grisham all season long. Trent Grisham actually is one of our better hitters with runners in scoring position. This is part of the reason why we said we don't want him leading off. We want him in a run producing role, not fourth, but fifth or sixth, or our argument was seventh is where he's best. Our point is the better you are with runners in scoring position, the better of a hitter you are. Don't tell me you drove in 100, but then I look up your numbers with runners in scoring position and it's not any good. You can drive in a lot of runs by hitting 40 homers. How can you scramble for a knock in a postseason game with a man on third base and 2 outs? Can you do that? If you can't, why should I pay you $40 million? I love the idea of this pickup for Adley Rutschman. Very rarely are there rumors. I think the last player that we had rumors of off the jump and we ended up getting him was Jazz Chisholm. Jake, you've obviously brought that up in the past. This is a player that not only is a perfect fit for the Yankees, he's a perfect fit for who he's replacing. This is like, I mean, Jake, this is like passing the controller to your big brother. It's the play gets much better. So I really think that Brian Cashman would make a mistake if this was on his table at any point and he passes up on it. Jake, look at this name from our super chat. Kitty Smacker 25 with the 5.
Oh my God.
This might take the cake.
Poor Adley Rutschman was on screen when that was announced. We'll cut that out of that clip.
He got his time, especially on Yankees Unloaded. Yeah, he got his time, and we gave him his credit for what he does. And I actually like what Devin brought up, right? That lefties and righties split, obviously having switch hitters, they have strengths and weaknesses. Are they going to play to his weakness? But Jake, when you brought up those numbers, his baseline's high for both.
Yeah.
It's not that he struggles and just calls himself a switch hitter. He hits right-handed. He can hit left-handed. He's
a
weapon.
Legit switch hitter. Like that's a weapon in your lineup. And I don't know. I feel like you have to understand the numbers he has, what he's asked to do. Do you know how often he's hitting second, third in the order? He wouldn't have to do that with the Yankees. He could, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to be one of the main characters. That's what I love about adding a player when you have Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger and, Ben Rice. That's a big 3. He's not in the big 3. If you get him tomorrow, everyone goes crazy. That would be a blockbuster move. People would be so hyped. But guess what? He doesn't have to be a part of the big 3. So the pressure's not necessarily on him. People would have pressure on him because, he's the new guy in town type thing. I mean, Ryan McMahon even had pressure, and I don't know why anybody expecting anything more than 220 since that's all he does on the road. So from Colorado. So it's one of those things like, yeah, by virtue of him being the new guy in town, he's going to have pressure, but day-to-day pressure, it wouldn't be that high because you already have your big 3. That's my biggest argument about why if you add Rutschman or if you add a Ryan Jeffers or, you add somebody like that, right? What's his name? Goodman. Like you add one of those 3 guys and you have to understand right now, Jeffers I know is injured. Goodman is arguably their biggest name. He's a catcher, young catcher who hit 30 plus home runs last year. That's like gold. That they found gold, He went from being he basically goes from being one of the star players on their team. And I hesitate to say star because he's obviously on the outside. And the fact that they're even considering a trade kind of tells you what they think. But the point is when you're talking about his role on the roster, this is like Jordan's Bulls and like pulling Steve Kerr off the Bulls and then making him a number 1 option on another team. It's like, well, you're not going to get the same production because his role is now to do something that's not to his strength. Adley Rutschman is a really good player, but really good players don't lead championship teams. They kind of look overrated when you put them in that position. And how reliable would Jazz Chisholm be? People would be pretty pissed this year if Jazz Chisholm was one of our top 2 players on the team because his bad performance, you couldn't hide it. You couldn't throw him down in the 7 spot or the 8 spot, which we've done this year at times
he would have been struggling in the 2 and 3 spot with guys on base every day. That would have been a problem. So the fact that you bring in, and so you leave Steve Kerr on the Bulls, he can go stand in the corner and just hit a jumper when you throw him the ball. Adley Rutschman would be the same concept. He's really a guy that would show up to the Yankees or any other contender for that matter, and the eyes aren't on him. The game plan isn't on him. No one in the bullpen's like, we need to worry about what's happening with Adley Rutschman. No, you're worried about Judge, reverse splits Cody Bellinger, right? What's going on with Ben Rice? That group can protect an asset like this and make him that much better. So yeah, we'll monitor how this is looking. I'm obviously going to be doing my thing. I'm going to be on Twitter, muting all the BS accounts, but trying to find some rumors on this, because now I'm excited, Jake.
Well,
but Titty Smacker 25. Oh, what are you excited about? What's up?
Well, our guy, Nightingale. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. What, can you pull that up?
He's saying
or
that,
at least mention it.
Well, yeah, he was saying that the Yankees are in on Skubal. They're gonna be one of the finalist teams on Skubal. So
he said that?
Yeah, apparently that was, I saw I think it was today or yesterday.
Oh, I'm probably gonna message him as soon as we get off air and ask him to come on the show and talk about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Sometimes when you can do it, you do it. So if that's the case, yeah, I think we need to have a chat. I don't know if our audience would agree, but sometimes when there's a source, you can just go to the source. We're not the source, but he is.
Where is...
And no, Dom, Skubal can't hit. But one thing Skubal can do is he raises the ceiling. I love this Yankees rotation. I've talked about that. The ceiling is iffy. Garrett Cole, if he returns to form, looked awesome in game one. Loved everything I saw. Cam Schlittler's him. But who do you trust after that? Like, no doubt, you just throw the ball and just get out of the way. We couldn't have trusted Fried last year. It's up in the air what happens this year. It could go well. It could go the same. Carlos Rodon, how many people in our comment section are like, oh, Carlos Rodon, give him the ball and just get out of his way. Let him go 7-8 innings strong. Nobody. Not even one person. You bring in Tarik Skubal, you're now moving people out of his way. I mean, you're now talking about Cam Schlittler Cam Schlittler probably is your one. That'd probably be my opinion. But you could also argue that Tarik Skubal, you just throw him the ball game one. Cam Schlittler's your game two starter. I mean,
let's throw this on screen.
Are you kidding me?
It was in his USA Today article. So great job.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
And I mean, that looks like
get out your binoculars.
Chicken scratch there. But yeah, so now that it's becoming inevitable that free-falling Detroit Tigers may have no choice but to trade two-time Cy Young winner Tarik Skubal at the deadline, rival executives believe that the bidding will come down to 4 finalists that not only can afford the remainder of his $32 million contract, but will also be willing to give up prize prospects: Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Yankees, Toronto Blue Jays, and San Diego Padres. So, yeah.
The one thing I'm hoping that doesn't happen, it's not on their list, is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, I knew you were going to say the Rays.
Tampa getting him would be a nightmare.
That would be terrible. We do not want that.
Yes.
It's
Dodgers, it would kind of just be like our head was already being held under the water, and then somebody just like kicked you while you're under the water.
That's not what you want.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So I don't think it would sting as bad. If you went to the Dodgers, it just kind of is what it is.
What if the Yankees did something absolutely obscene? And thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you. What if the Yankees did something absolutely obscene and they went with Tarik Skubal and Dingler at catcher, and they just did like a mega blockbuster trade?
I thought I'd have a ticker tape parade. If
I mean, think about this. Dingler is probably going to be, he shouldn't be available, but when teams are that bad, it's possible. And I've already seen his name mentioned. I'm not talking in our comment section. I mean, I've seen like actual people that like are insiders mention him as somebody to watch.
Yeah, the concept there, Jake, because everyone would always say, why would a team, like, we'll use Paul Skeens as a perfect example. Why would Pittsburgh ever trade a player like that? It doesn't get any better than that. So what's the angle? The angle for a team that's not winning is resetting. Essentially speaking, talent, we're not ready now. So us having this young player who's cheap doesn't benefit us really in too many ways. Let's actually go bring in, instead of this one player, bring in 6 players that might be ready 2-3 years down the road, and hopefully we're good then. That's the concept. Not saying we would do it. Dingler wouldn't be on the market at all if we had the choice. But I mean, I'd be surprised. And Devin says our options at catcher are named Dingler and a girl name. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Adley?
Hey, you don't decide. The market chooses for you. You don't choose the market.
Yeah, Adley is that's like a sorority girl at Arizona State.
Oh, yep. Yeah.
That is, I've seen every Adley I think I've ever met was that.
I'm not gonna lie. If they trade Dingler, this is obscene.
It'd be ridiculous. By the way, we didn't even read this super chat. So Titty Smacker, welcome back with the 5.
Oh, we didn't read it. My bad.
No, we didn't read it. Says Boone needs to set the tone for our pen so they know their role. Judge needs to hit third, Rice second. Oh, in the 2-hole. And Belly needs to lead off. Absolutely love that. Love the idea, Cody Bellinger. To be fair, Grisham's been pretty good of late, but just because 2 games have worked offensively doesn't mean that's the long-term solution. So, yeah, never thought I'd agree with a titty today, but I do.
There you go. We appreciate you.
Yeah, shout out to Titty and Ninja Hot Dog. Welcome back with the 10 and the lemon. Appreciate all of our super chats tonight. It says it's a miracle. Judge got a clutch hit. Oh, I'll give him his credit, Ninja. Said still, I think we suck. Those were the only relevant runs we seem to have scored in a week. Offense is overall dead. It happens every year and Cashman does nothing. Yeah, we have to also identify, Jake, short and sweet here. There's a difference between us saying that there's a problem and us identifying that there's a solution. All of us could complain about Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Most of us didn't provide a solution. Oh, just get him out of there. Where's the solution? Jose Caballero wasn't in the building. When he got in the building, that solution is now here. We talk about Jose. In this situation, we have a problem. Austin Wells, JC Escara, problem. Solution, Adley Rutschman, right? We discussed those solutions, but Jake couldn't have been happier for Aaron Judge. He needed that hit in the biggest way.
Yeah, that was exactly what the doctor ordered. I mean, look, Judge has been struggling. I know there was somebody in here earlier acting like he's never struggled ever. But really? Yeah, he has been struggling, and it's absolutely fair to bring up just the I don't know, the scare of a potential drop off. And like, what does the drop off look
Ninja.
like, right? Like it's not to say that you're absolutely screwed. It's over type of drop off. I mean, but I don't think it's fair to say like, yeah, 1200 OPS, that'll go down to 1100, and that's no. I'm talking like he's flirting with 1200. It's probably going to be like 900, maybe like 850. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. Like, I was worried about Aaron Judge is still, and you said this best. You don't want him to go from being one of the best players in baseball, arguably the best hitter, to just a great player. Like, it's going to happen, but you'd like him to just stay on top of everybody for a little bit longer. And when you turn 34, it's like, well, okay, the clock's ticking. And we knew this, but when you see the signs and he's hitting 400 this time last year, but then this year he's not even hitting 250, it's like, okay, like there's a concern there, right? So yeah, the home run was great. He had 2 hits today. He looked great. Obviously winning the game, that was huge, and hopefully he can build on it. But to act like that wasn't a cause for concern when this has been one of his worst, slumps he's ever had. I mean, I just never understood that. Yeah.
Statistics show that. We just let the numbers take us where they go. That's all we do. I mean, we don't just...
Devin, the comments, the Trent Grisham comment is insane.
Let me see this. Trent Grisham deserves the same respect as a naked mole rat. Oh my God.
Devin's
We have some
on
people
a
telling us
heater
that
tonight.
the chat is all over the place. Some people are telling me Bobby Witt Jr. is a free agent at year's end, and when I'm positive, just 2 years ago, he signed
He
like
just signed a deal.
11-year deal.
All right, all right. Here's the thing, and you kind of mentioned this, you teased this.
What's up?
We're gonna have to be really careful, and I'm not just saying you and me, right? But the whole fan base, because these parody accounts are out to get you. They just
they're
are.
so brutal.
There's this one that started that Bobby Witt Jr. is available thing.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
Yes, I have.
This dude has 800 followers, and you got giant accounts like, oh, yeah, I'll trade for Bobby Witt Jr. It's like, dude, you're a doofus. He's literally an 800 follower guy.
To be fair, the biggest doofus of all got rid of blue check marks, and now everybody's verified.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of him.
Have a more streamlined experience, and I understand the concept of why they got rid of it. I do. What makes them more special than me? I'm the same. I'm worth just as much as Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, but here's the problem, right? He did that, and then it's like, well, if you pay like $100,000 or whatever bullshit to us, we're gonna give you a gold check mark.
It's good in its concept, but in its practice, it's ineffective. There's no reason I should go to Twitter and see Luka Doncic traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, and my heart drops, and I go, you know what? I'm going to save my excitement. Let me go to Twitter and see more posts. It just dampens what you saw in the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree.
When I see this Bobby Witt Jr. thing, you just assume parody or just like a person paid $8 to troll. That's not what I want. I want to be able to live in the moment, read something and believe it. But I mean, now, it's not any better anywhere else. You go to Facebook and people are arguing about quotes that never were said.
Can I go on a rant? Because I think people who have parody accounts actually don't contribute to society, and they're useless.
What do you think? Why do you think they do it, by the way? Like, what's the point?
No one loves them. They're probably broke, so they're probably trying to make money off of it. No one loves them. No friends. Well, I think that kind of goes with no one loves them. No life. Yeah. I don't respect people like that. I just don't. It's funny because like you'll look at like Stephen A. Smith and what is it? Skip Bayless, right? Mm-hmm. And we know that some of what they do is like performing. It's like acting. Sure. You know, it's embellishing, right?
Yeah.
I don't have as much of an issue with that as other people do. Here's why. They're still putting out a lot of work. There's an effort there. There's no effort for this. Absolutely none. I can just take a picture, because this is how they do it. They take a picture off of Google of this player, and they just copy and paste like, an old Passan. That's what they do. They take an old Passan, excuse me. They take a Jeff Passan tweet, right? And it's like a breaking news tweet. They copy and paste it, and then they just mess around with it however they will, and then it looks official because your brain remembers like, oh, that's how that looked. And it's just like, because I think they get a rise out of like the fake stuff and like, just totally messing with people. But like the thing is, if you do that, you actually are a loser. Like there's no other way to put it.
Right. But the problem is, Jake, that you also have to identify, and I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
Is that if you're already a loser, how's it worse to just do something else where people are just going to say, oh, that guy's a loser? It's like, well, they didn't really lose anything. You have to remember, when people have nothing to lose, they'll pretty much do anything. That's why, sometimes you just have to, it doesn't really matter how much money someone has, but you need to make sure you're around people that act in life like they have something to lose. And unfortunately, in the internet, where it used to be you only knew your neighbors or people that you came in contact with, and everyone acted pretty normal. But once we put phones in everyone's hands, you see just some of the most ridiculous waste of time behavior where there's so much good that you don't want it to just be overshadowed by the losers. But that is social media at this point. Facebook's unusable. Instagram is just people lying about where they are. Like they're making pictures of stuff from 2022 and making it seem like they're in Rome. And it just puts people in position where it's just a bunch of people lying to each other and trolling each other. It's not fun.
Who are
It's
more
not.
annoying, by the way? The parody accounts or the people who are just constantly trying to act like they're morally superior to everybody else?
Oh, the people that are morally superior.
Yes.
Anyone complaining on the internet that they don't like something, they're like, that person creates that guy makes slop. He's a bad podcaster, whoever that person is. And I'm like, do you podcast? And they're like, no, but I could if I did. You should do that. If you don't like the room, change it.
Mm-hmm. That's what we did.
If you don't like it, do it. And that's a rule on life. It doesn't matter if it's podcasting. It doesn't matter if it's music. All they make is slop. You should create music. If you sound like you're passionate about it, you should create it.
That's funny because we did that when it came to Yankees Unloaded. We didn't feel like there was a Yankees show that still kept the old school baseball, like, oh, by the way, batting average still matters and it's more important than Wabo or whatever the hell it is.
There's good Yankee shows,
Woba.
and we agree.
Yeah.
Before we ever started the show, there were a couple shows where like, oh, that's a good Yankee show. But when we started this, I remember when I was like, I want you to start a Yankee show with me. And you were like, oh, all right, there's a lot of Yankee shows. And I said, right, but there's none that are going to be like, they're not like that. There's a lot of Yankees podcasts, but if you go look at them back to back to back to back, you're like, oh, they really are just turning on the mics and screaming. They're not going to spend any time.
Can you imagine if we did that one episode? People would be so confused. Yeah, just starts
and you know
yelling
what?
at each other.
There's people out there who think you can just yell and scream for an episode and you're just going to explode. You know what's actually more likely to happen? You might yell and scream and have a viral moment, right? Go on Twitter, Instagram, and someone clips that and they say, that was awesome, man. That captures exactly how I felt. And you might look up and you've got 75,000, 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. Jake, you go live your next show, people don't gravitate to that slop.
No. They like the quick content, but they're not. But you know, it's so funny that you say that because it's not to take credit away from people who are already making the content, but the thing that led me to being just in this space at all was because when I was in study hall and I live in upstate New York, you know, I'd listen to the radio. It's called The Fast Lane. It was with DeMarco Farr and Randy Carricker in St. Louis. And DeMarco's great. He was hired by the Rams. He's a fan of me. Like, I love DeMarco, right? Randy's fine, whatever. Kind of butthurt that the Rams left St. Louis. Fine. The point being is that I knew I wanted to do something because I didn't think that we had... It's nothing against people that were doing it, but I don't feel like we had a good enough source for like Rams content, right? There was some, articles out there that I thought were cool, but I was like, I can do better than this. And then the radio station, like I said, like the Fast Lane. So I was using TuneIn Radio. So I was paying monthly just to listen to radio that was in St. Louis. I did this every day in study hall when their show came on. It's called The Fast Lane. And they would talk, and I mean, with all due respect, because I love DeMarco, it wasn't his choice. They would talk about Vladimir Tarasenko of the St. Louis Blues. They'd talk about Albert Pujols. They would talk about the Cardinals the entire show. So I'm a Rams fan in upstate New York, going out of my way to listen to your radio show, and they'd give DeMarco Farr about 15 minutes to talk about the Rams. The rest of the show was the Cardinals. Like, even when we had Todd Gurley in 2015, and he was having like an incredible rookie year and he was the superstar, they had a poll on their account. Who was a bigger star in St. Louis? Todd Gurley, Vladimir Tarasenko, or there was an up-and-comer on the Cardinals who didn't pan out. But that guy won, right? Then Tarasenko came in second, and Todd Gurley was last. Todd Gurley was bigger than all of them. Todd Gurley is, do you think of Tarasenko or do you think of Todd Gurley? I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, so it's one of those things.
It's not really a question.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I was just like, I really felt like that I had it in my bones. I was like, I need to I need to do something about this. I need to make this content. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because it not only started Yankees Unloaded feeling that way, it actually started my whole career in
And there's
media.
people in this audience right now. There's someone, I promise you,
Yeah.
who they're probably 18, 19. They could be 27. And they're like, I want to get into podcasting. I don't really know how to do all the editing. I don't really know how to do all this stuff. And they're probably looking up here and saying, man, there's 330 people in here, right? You might turn on a Talking Yank show and there might be 2,000 people in there. Where do I even start? Because I see a lane that this could even get better. Do it anyway. You don't need to complain in people's comment sections and tell them how to do something. You can do it. You can ask them to do it, and they can, if they take constructive criticism, they can make your show, your favorite show, better. But yeah, if you really need to see it done a certain way, do it your way and make that content. We're not oversaturated. We're oversaturated with content. We're not oversaturated with good content. I promise you, there's not a whole lot great out there. So go make something. That is the final point I'll make. Ninja Hot Dog.
By the way, it was Colton Wong.
Oh, Colton Wong. My God, the lefty.
He beat out Todd Gurley in a poll. I'll never forget that. Colton Wong and Vladimir Tarasenko. Great.
You gotta love local coverage.
I just don't.
That'll do it.
You knew Todd was a star the first time you saw him. It was against the Cardinals, which is not far away from where you live.
It is very far from where I live.
Well, you know,
ironically, I live where all the people live. And the Arizona Cardinals decided to put their football stadium in the middle of the ghetto.
I'm okay, but you get my point. It's in your state.
It's a bullet train away. No, in reality, it's like an hour and 15. But I live where all the people live, like Arizona
State. He had that game though in Arizona.
Yes, I remember.
And everyone was just like, "Oh, so this guy, I know he tore his ACL. It was one of the nasty injuries that we've seen, but he's gonna be really freaking good." Like you just knew right away.
Yeah, it was kind of like the Cam Schlittler wild card Boston game. You sort of watched that game and said, "Oh, I guess this is how this is going from here on out." You're right, but Ninja, thank you for the 2, says we need a Jewish mom as manager, said a baboon. Yeah, if you really want honesty, get a Jewish mom in the building. Obviously, my mom.
Maybe Lauren should be the manager.
Yeah, my mom would. She'd love to be the manager. Trust me. And Jackson, well, if they paid her enough. With the 5, says Bellinger is a gem in left field. It's great having a professional covering that tough spot in the Bronx. He's obviously talking about left field and all the room we've got. Most people understand this, but I just want to make sure that Jackson's point is really explained here. Instead of just throwing a rookie out there. Yeah, so that rookie would have been, I mean, you're talking about either Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez. It feels like he's a rookie. He's somewhat inexperienced. They're still trying to figure out, can he play left field? Is it improved enough? We're going to figure that out when he comes back from injury. But to Jackson's point, Cody Bellinger, he made that play against the Mets a couple years ago. He makes those plays today. I mean, at the time, it was game-saving. Probably have a different feeling to that Aaron Judge at bat. A little bit more pressure when there's some runs on the board and you have to score or you lose. So thankfully for Cody Bellinger, we didn't have to see what that feeling was like. So again, Jackson, thank you for the super. And Izzy with the 5 says the biggest difference with Weathers is conditioning. Jake, I want to know what you think about this. So conditioning, he's in the best shape of his career, which has helped his mechanics and kept him healthy to date. Luka Doncic for the Los Angeles Lakers, he didn't just say I'm dealing with injuries. The Dallas Mavericks traded him because they felt he wasn't taking his basketball career serious enough. He was putting on weight. His body wasn't toned. He was going the wrong direction. They trade him to the Lakers. What does he do when he gets to LA? He loses the weight. He starts getting more toned. He has a strict diet that he now follows, and he's done that now for multiple years. But the Lakers signs that extension. Seems like Ryan Weathers is in a similar situation. Obviously different tiers of players, but it feels like the example is still somewhat similar. Do you feel like Ryan Weathers is just a different player in New York, or is this
he's
just
definitely different.
Yeah, it feels like that, right?
there has to be a moment in your career when you've crossed the bridge of, oh, I put on the pinstripes, they're heavy, and now it's like any other game. And people can say there's no difference. There's absolutely a difference. There's a way bigger difference. I don't care if actually, let's just look it up, Gary. Let's look up. I need to look up at the standings. I haven't seen the standings in a bit, so let's do ourselves a favor and look at them. Right.
So we're now down 4.5, I believe.
So all I'm saying for the entire MLB. So
all of baseball. Okay.
Which is 4.5. So you nailed it. Just you didn't know that was that. But okay. So here's a great example, right? The Milwaukee Brewers are 30-20. Okay, almost virtually the same. Actually, it's a better win percentage than the Yankees. Do you think you have more pressure playing in Milwaukee if they win 100 games and the Yankees only win 92? Absolutely not. The Yankees are always going to have more pressure than Milwaukee. If you're talking about the Dodgers, that's a different story, right? You're talking about a historic franchise. And I'm sorry, I think the Cubs, I think the Cardinals, there's more pressure to play for those organizations than the Guardians. I just do,
I don't know if there's anyone who disagrees with your point.
Yeah.
Because obviously local fans are like, wait a minute, it's important to play for us in Cleveland. It's like, of course it is. It's professional baseball. You're in the league. But you really think it's the same thing, same type of pressure? It's New York, but you think playing there's
pressure
Field?
to play in Philadelphia, and I understand.
Is there as much pressure to play for the Mets than us?
No, I don't think there's that much pressure on the Mets. Honestly, you forget they're actually in New York. I think
there's pressure.
There's not anywhere.
All
near
things no, there's not in comparison to us. There's none.
There are
for them. There's a ton more pressure in New York for the Mets than there is, say, for Arizona.
I think there's more pressure to play in Philadelphia than the Mets because I think the Philly fans are very passionate to the point where, we've seen it. Bryce Harper got booed, right? We know like the Eagles fans. You're an Eagles fan, but you're not in Philly. You're not like about to beat somebody up for wearing the opposite jersey. At a game.
I'm not one of their blue collar.
Yeah,
fans.
no, I get that. But that's the thing is Red Sox fans, very passionate. Red Sox fan, there is pressure to play in Boston. You're either going to work or you're not, right? That's the way it is. There's a lot of pressure to play in Boston. Play at Fenway Park, historic Fenway Park. There's pressure to play at Wrigley. I think Phillies are kind of the underrated one. I think they've become an organization over the years where it's there is pressure to play in Philadelphia. I don't care what anyone says.
So you feel like pressure can burst a pipe, but it can make a diamond. You think Ryan Weathers is in the best shape of his life because of that pressure?
Yeah, I think it works for some and doesn't work for others. And there's no formula, Gary, that will show you that's tried and true to just be under pressure because it's exactly like you said. It can burst a pipe or make a diamond. And the reality is this. Most people pressure, let's be honest here. If you are, I got a smoothie today at the mall. I watch those people working. If you're having to make all these smoothies, right? And dude, it's crazy. There was 2 people on staff and this line just kept going and going and going. They were laughing. They couldn't believe how much they had to work. But that pressure, some people are like, hell yeah, I'm up for the challenge. Some people are crying about it. They're like, I can't do this. And they quit, right? There's no way to tell exactly how many. That's not like a palpable thing. You can't just calculate the X amount of players. There's no stat out there, Gary, that'll be like, yeah, X amount of players really fall under the pressure, and then X amount of players actually thrive under pressure. We just call it clutch gene. Do you have it? Do you not? Are you clutch? Do you stand up in the big moment or do you sit down? That's all we know it as. It's not anything where it's like you can't measure, oh, yeah, approximately 75% of guys struggle under pressure. There's nothing out there. So that's the crazy thing, Gary, because this is why sports are so unpredictable. And I understand there's going to be somebody talking about gematria in our comment section, how sports are rigged. I already know I'm going to see that. I already know. I see it all the time.
The best rebuttal to that is if it's rigged, gamble for it to be rigged. Pick who you think is gamble. Tell me who you think they're forcing to win and put your entire mortgage on that team.
But here's the thing.
Do that. Do it.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you're wrong. But here's the thing, right? It's like, it's so unpredictable because we've seen players who are perfect fits. We know this. We've talked about it. Perfect fits for a team in any sport we're talking.
Yep.
And they've fallen off a damn cliff. And we've seen guys have come-ups like no other. We've had stories like the Jeremy Lin Linsanity run with the Knicks. We've had stories like Josh Hamilton when he broke the home run derby. So much so, I can't believe Justin Morneau won it, but that still pisses me off.
This is the worst thing to happen
day.
to baseball.
I'm still pissed about that. But the
He's
point
tired
being,
and you're not.
Yeah. Josh Hamilton broke the home run derby the point where they made it. So now it's like you don't even have outs anymore. It's a time trial. But like the point being is that we've seen all these crazy moments. We've seen the come-ups. We've seen like the Jose Caballeros of the world step up in these moments. And like, oh my God, he's actually working out with the Yankees. It's like some people didn't think that was going to happen. He was like a 232 hitter, in Tampa. But that's the thing that makes sports great. Like these awesome R.A. Dickey winning the Cy. What? I still can't believe
we acquired
that.
Jazz Chisholm in hopes that due to his personality and everything that was happening in Miami, we thought he was lollygagging in Miami and they weren't getting the best out of him. The Yankees traded for him, and rather than asking the question of can they crack it in New York, or we can say, oh, New York's harder to play there, so we're going to give a slight drop off, the Yankees made a prediction that he'll actually improve by being under the spotlight and the pressure. And this situation of Ryan Weathers, it feels like two Miami former Marlins have improved. They showed up and said, yeah, we're good baseball players. We're solid. One can't stay healthy. You can argue that his body needs to improve. He needs to maybe put some more work in the gym, improve some mechanics, get into some slightly better shape. Jazz Chisholm, you need to pay more attention to detail, and you can argue that he's still not doing that. You can certainly make that argument. But Jazz Chisholm, regardless of what you can say about him, he's still a better player here than he was in Miami. So there's an argument that can be made that while the Yankees are pressure, you can also look around baseball and say, oh, Adley Rutschman, he's kind of just floating around in Baltimore. He doesn't really have a role. They don't really believe in him. He's still putting up big numbers. But what would it look like if you shift him in to New York pressure where all of a sudden he's on the big stage? He might get up for that. Yeah. I love this concept. I love it. So Izzy, really appreciate you bringing that up, man.
Yeah, no, this is why we love our super chats. Obviously we like money, but we also love how thought-provoking they are. And they lead to like a 20-minute discussion sometimes. And yeah, I mean, I think to kind of put a close on that, this is why the trade deadline, it's funny because it is somewhat of a scam in a sense. But if you're smart, you'll never get scammed. You know what I mean? Like, because think about it. It's a bunch of bad teams selling their best asset, but if they're bad, they might not have great assets to begin with. It's just that's all that's on the market. But here's the catch. It's what we just talked about. I mean, Paul O'Neill on paper, that trade didn't make any sense for the Yankees. They traded away Roberto Kelly, I believe, for Paul O'Neill. That didn't make any sense. Like that left people's heads scratching. My dad talks about it all the time. But Paul O'Neill was such a natural fit. It just worked. And that's the thing is like, it's your job with all your pro scouts and everything to go out there and find those guys. So you're not sitting there acquiring somebody who's like, oh man, he ended up being exactly what he was. Because sometimes you make the trades thinking, you know what? I have a feeling this guy's going to be much better. And the return, the ROI on this is going to be absolutely insane. And that's why some teams will make those trades. The Yankees have made them before for players that you're not even really like, huh? Like what? The Clay Holmes trade, to be fair, Clay Holmes was just a total reject in Pittsburgh. And they turned him into their closer. Whether you like him or not, that is an incredible job, locating a guy who you can build on. So,
yeah, it's kind of forgettable. It's forgettable just because of how it ended. And you can kind of see the way his career is now bouncing the right direction now. But we also did it at the top of the market in Juan Soto. Sometimes you can look at it and go, hey, he's really good. He's sleepwalking over in San Diego. And by the way, the Padres have some of the best fans in the world. You go to Petco Park, it's rocking every day. Day game on a Wednesday, and no one's working for some reason. They're just all at the park. Friday night, holiday, they're there. One of the best fan bases in baseball, Juan Soto was sleepwalking. Couldn't hit, wasn't fielding well, threw him in right field, wasn't working. All of a sudden, the Yankees said, oh, yeah, 1 year rental. Let's bring over to the Bronx. And you know what we all assumed? Oh, he can't wait to come here. We know he can't wait to come to New York. The shuffle, right? The heritage for him and all, like having all the family over here, he's going to love this. And he gets here and does, right? Sometimes you just have to do a little extra homework and say, is Jose Caballero and his personality, is it better suited at Tropicana Field where all the people are retired in St. Petersburg? Or should it be in the Bronx where people are nuts? Maybe New York. And we got a better baseball player than Tampa got. Unfortunately for them, they're still a good ball club, but that one worked out for Brian Cashman. Henry, thank you for the 10, says this is probably a complicated question. I like complicated questions. And then we'll get obviously to our prize picks and then to our voicemails. Says in the last 2 games with the Rays, can we struck out less than the Rays? Is that a sign that we're getting out of it or just a coincidence? This is an interesting thing to bring up because my takeaway just yesterday, and obviously this is, 2 days ago with the rain out, was that the Rays are willing to put the ball in play more so than we are. Jake, does this mean anything to you? Like, given that we saw the sample size of the series, wasn't it just 2 games that we played?
Yeah, I mean,
so I think it's a little hard to make a judgment. Do you make a judgment based on what Henry's bringing up?
No, I think it's too small of a sample size. The Rays definitely attack the baseball more than the Yankees do. But they're also, that's the thing. The Yankees, it's funny because there's a balance here. We'll complain about Austin Wells swinging at the first pitch because the first pitch is normally not a great pitch because it's Austin Wells. So the pitcher knows it's Austin Wells, and then he's that his tendency is to swing at everything. So he's going to get a breaking ball that's low, and that's why he grounds into a double play or whatever, right? But like Aaron Judge typically takes first pitch, doesn't really like explode on it, right? You know, all these guys. And it does get kind of annoying to watch because I understand you're trying to drive up the pitch count, but it's like that's almost always, I'm just going to say it, I've watched a lot of Yankees baseball. It's almost always the best pitch you'll see the entire at bat.
Yep.
And so then you have on the other side, and this is not, by the way, to say, yeah, not working pitch counts in the pitch count era, we'll call it. Like that is a great idea, right? Like to just go after it and not work a count. It's not, but like, if there's something there, you should be swinging at it. You should be aggressive. And Tampa is. And the basic thing is that they're okay. This is not a home run pitch, but this is a pitch that I can do damage with by just hitting it where they're not. And that's the thing. The Yankees are looking for the perfect pitch, but they take the first 2 that are perfect and then swing at one that's in the dirt. That's going to drive you absolutely up a wall.
Do we have strikeout numbers, by the way, overall on Tampa for the season?
For the season?
Yeah, I actually want to know how often is Tampa striking out overall, because I feel like the Yankees just striking out all the time, and that goes for any series. You can just take your pick. Whereas Tampa, you could obviously draw the conclusion there might be an outlier 2 games of baseball. But I wanted to know these numbers just so that we can figure out whether or not that was an outlier or if Tampa swings and misses more than we're giving them credit for.
Yeah, so let's see here. Strikeouts. No, Tampa strikes out. Tampa and Toronto, number 1 and number 2, fewest strikeout teams in the league.
So, Henry, you said it was a complicated question. Without the research, it is a complicated question. With the research, there's nothing positive to take away for the Yankees' perspective. You guys strike out all the time.
Strike out the 8th most in the league.
Correct. So what you're talking about here is this is why the season's 162 games. We draw conclusions on this podcast from long-term data only. We don't say, Trent, this guy sucks, and then he hits a grand slam the next day and go, oop, I guess we were wrong. No, that's baseball. Show it to me over 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, and then we can start to have a conversation the other direction. But Jake, I think this is a great question from Henry. But when you look up and say, was it just 2 games? Jake, you pulled up the numbers. Yeah, It was just 2 games. Tampa puts the ball in play, and you watch that game 1 loss that the Yankees had in this series. That game showed the story of who Tampa is. Just slap the ball in play, make them make mistakes. We're going to run the bases hard. And we have a rain out. We go into the rubber match, I guess you want to call it. And they make an uncharacteristic mistake at third base, getting hosed, costing themselves a run. They're striking out a ton. They don't normally do that. So yeah, Henry, great question. But I hope we answered that.
I find this really fascinating. So Tampa is 9th in hits. They strike out the least. They're 9th in hits. The Yankees are 24th, it looks like, in hits.
That's not good.
No, so here's the thing, right? The Yankees are 24th, and the Rays are 9th. And now you'd be thinking, so they strike out the least, so why aren't they higher in hits, right? Well, they're probably, I would imagine, getting a lot of productive outs. And I think a lot of these other teams are not doing that. So that's what that leads to. Tampa's getting up there now in runs as well. So they're moving up there. They're back in the top 10. They weren't there before. It is not a pretty, I wouldn't say it's not like a sexy way to play the game, but at the same time, it's an effective way to play because you're forcing, as you've said, when you strike out, I don't care as much about strikeouts. And I think the golden rule, right? If you're going to strike out a lot, you need to walk. It needs to match. You can't, that's the thing. The Yankees get a pass from a lot of people because they strike out the 8th most in the league or whatever. But they also walk at the 2nd highest clip in baseball. That's what has to be the case. I'm still not okay with it. And I guess I'm okay with strikeouts in general. I'm not okay with the amount. And here's why.
Sure.
Because to your point, these are missed opportunities. These are just gone now for the defense to be forced into making a play. Wasn't it funny, Gary, how Toronto, who has pretty good fundamentals, they were really kind of struggling when the Yankees put it in play, whether it was a pop-up or whatever. And it felt like in that series specifically at Yankee Stadium, we're not talking about Rogers Center, for whatever reason, Gary, they had a hard time seeing the ball in the air. There were quite a few times.
Technically speaking, this gives Toronto the leverage after the game to say, we didn't play well, and it doesn't have to piss the fans off who are over in Toronto. They can say, you know what? That could have been just a poorly played series and not meaning anything about us long term. And by the way, on this topic of strikeouts, and by the way, you don't have to have the same opinion on strikeouts. I'm a firm believer you can't win the World Series if you strike out a lot. I'm a believer in it. That's my belief on hitting. Over the 162, you throw a Trent Grisham up there, you throw an Austin Wells up there, Ryan McMahon. You can look at a player and say, well, he hit 23 homers for me. He drove in 84. He played good defense. That's a good baseball player right there. You don't have to look at any of the details. You don't have to watch how it looked. You can just look at some of those numbers and you can look at his ops. He walks a lot. He slugs a lot, right? He hits homers. Those numbers are going to look really good. And you can just draw a broad conclusion that player is good for this offense when it matters most. Just put as many of those guys in an order and it's going to work. Over 162, I think that is good. But baseball is a different sport when you get into the playoffs, just like the NBA is as well. A lot of guys in the NBA, they try to get to the free throw line all day long, right? You watch SGA, you watch James Harden.
He's unwatchable with that.
Correct, and they're not the only players in the sport's history to try and do that. However, when you get to the playoffs, guess who doesn't play very well in the playoffs? In basketball, foul baiters. Doesn't really work. Doesn't. They don't go to the foul line to the same level. You know what also doesn't work to the same level in baseball? Power hitting. You can hit for power. Like we've seen Kyle Schwarber hit for power. We've seen Giancarlo Stanton hit for power. But you know what they are? Outliers. The average person who's actually important in October is more of a DJ LeMahieu, more of a Marco Scudero, right? You're looking at guys
David Freese.
Do you strike out 195 times a year? I don't want the bat in your hand with a man on third base and less than 2 outs. I need the ball in play. Infield's in, you got to get it in the air. I don't want a guy who strikes out 200 times. And again, this is why I'm really proud of what Spencer Jones has done with his development, and I want him to be a good big leaguer. This is why I wasn't very high on him. Has nothing to do with his skill set. Has to do with the fit. When I look at team overall numbers, I can't look at another Yankees team and say they strike out a bunch, but they score a lot of runs. I just know when you guys get to October, you guys are going to get mad at me because it sounds like I'm rooting against the team to succeed. But in reality, I'm just telling you, this isn't a sustainable product when it matters most. That's why I talk about it. So when we're talking about, and you talk about batting average, you mentioned Tampa makes a lot of productive outs. How many productive outs do we make? There's a couple guys, right? Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt. There's some guys in there.
Yeah,
Jazz
no,
Chisholm's
definitely
not making productive outs. Austin Wells and Ryan McMahon aren't making any productive outs. Was Spencer Jones making any productive outs? No. It's a short sample size. But you look at the group, we're kind of just guys taking turns trying to be run producers. That's not team baseball. But Jake, some of those teams that you listed, oh yeah, they're way up there in batting average and way down there in strikeouts. Those are the teams that are the most scary in baseball. The Tampas, the Torontos, when those teams get healthy, they're more dangerous than we are. And hopefully we can outpitch those problems. But we've seen over the last 17 years that hasn't worked out very well. So I believe Brian Cashman has an adjustment to make. He has to find a way to improve this offense, not in terms of runs scored, in terms of style of play. This team has to adapt. And I don't know if that comes inside the organization. I think that could look like Adley Rutschman. It also could look like more players that put the ball in play, like a Jose Caballero, like a Cody Bellinger, that maybe we're not even aware that they're on the market yet.
Yeah, no, I think that's really well said. And you know, it's funny because I don't want to discredit having Ben Rice and Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger, but I think if you were to make a roster, and I'm going to bring up the RPG comment that I think some people will be over their heads, but if you've ever played it, you have stats and you have to like decide, hey, like for instance, if you ever played Fallout, the game Fallout or Skyrim, they give you like points and you assign them to certain attributes. And typically, like you can have any character you want. You can make your character have tons of health and, you know, he's good hand-to-hand combat, or you could have a character that just heals people or, you know, uses magic or whatever, or, you know, is really like has great charisma and it'll help you with bartering and stuff like that, right? But here's the thing. I always made a character that had very balanced stats because I never knew early on in the game like what I was going to need, right? So I would always do balanced. Here's why I bring that up. You could have an Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm when hitting, Ben Rice, and have a lesser shot of winning the World Series than a team that's just balanced. And the reason why I say that is like if you had a bunch of, say, 756 OPS hitters, you'd probably have a better shot. Because I think the ultimate thing is, if we're talking about how strikeouts are so bad and everything, typically the 756 OPS, that guy's not 756 OPS because he can't hit. It's typically because he doesn't slug. So it's just a bunch of guys putting singles in play, you know.
That could also be by choice, by the way.
Yes.
Like that guy might have a 750 ops because he's on a team where his hitting coach promotes putting the ball in play. It's not acceptable to have an ops of, his ops was 775, so it just must have been a successful season. Yeah. No, that guy hit 27 home runs and struck out 211 times.
Exactly.
And walked a lot. Is he a better baseball player than some of the guys that Toronto had last year? That some of the guys that you saw at the bottom of the Dodgers lineup, is he a better baseball player because he has a higher ops? The real answer and the short answer is no. Just because you look at someone's ops doesn't tell you the whole story, right? And we've looked at Austin Wells' ops, not to pick on him, but just use him as an example. We've looked at his ops before. He was a player traditionally who has slugged, right? He's hit over 20 home runs before. He's walked a lot, right? At some points he's walked. He's had a good eye. His chase rate was down, and they were like, oh, his ops is this. He's great. And I'm like, do you know the Austin Wells I'm watching? You don't watch him every day like I do. I'm here to tell you right now, those numbers that you're spewing, they're true. Like, I can't argue the data, but it's not telling the story of the type of player that's getting in the box. And I think that's the Yankees. They're kind of getting in the batter's box and you're like, yeah, his ops is this, but do I really want that guy stepping in the box in a clutch situation? And I think more times than not, that answer is no. So we've got to figure out how to build an effective lineup when it matters rather than building a team that really can look okay over 162. And that problem, in my opinion, is even more so than our bullpen. Our lineup, they've got some work to do. It goes beyond just waiting for guys to get hot.
Let me hit you with this question. And I want also people in the comment section to chime in.
Sure.
If you had team A or team B, so if you team A, your entire lineup down to the bench, every single hitter is Chandler Simpson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Team B, or excuse me, team A, Chandler Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
Your starting pitcher, your bullpen, your closer, they're all Sandy Koufax. Okay.
Okay.
So you got Chandler Simpson, all Chandler Simpsons, all Sandy Koufaxes.
So no slugging, dynamic pitching.
Yes. So option B, you got Mark Pryor as all your pitchers, and your hitter is all, let's say, this is a good one. Let's say Aaron Judge. Who would you take to win a World Series?
Chandler Simpson.
Here's the thing. I don't think you're wrong because I think power pitching matters the most in the postseason. Dynamic pitching. Mark Pryor was really good, but obviously Pryor had issues with injuries, but he was more of a craft pitcher from what I remember.
Sure.
He didn't throw as hard as Koufax, I don't believe.
Wait,
could be wrong.
No, you.
Am I getting
Mark Pryor? Yeah, you are. But
okay,
no,
I'm getting him
but
confused.
no, but the point.
Who am I getting him confused
but
with?
really, the point that you're making, and really the only thing that matters here, is that people get into conversations of player A versus player B. The most important part of this equation is: do you like a 1 through 9 of Chandler Simpson or more of a power swing and miss approach in Aaron Judge? If you just compare the two players, are you joking me? Chandler Simpson's not going to the Hall of Fame. You know who is? And it'll be most likely unanimous. Aaron Judge. But when you get into October baseball, it's not that simple evaluating these teams. If you look at Toronto's team last year, if you just go him versus him, him versus him, and you just go down 1 through 9, it makes us look much better than what we are. But that's because the styles of play don't translate the same way. Power hitting doesn't translate to postseason baseball the way you'd like it to. Aaron Judge hits the ball off the pole. Like, he made some impact, no question. But weren't we really asking power hitters to cosplay as contact guys when we needed them to? Put the ball in play. What are you waiting on? How can you not? How can you not? Because we brought him here to do something else. Meanwhile, Chandler Simpson, you bring him into a postseason series. Jake, is he going to try to do anything different this October?
Nope.
And God forbid they have to still get there. So let's be honest. But if Tampa gets in October this year, which we both think that they will, you think Chandler Simpson's going to show up and try to hit for power when he gets there? No, he's not.
No.
He's going to try and do it exactly what he's doing now. Why? Because he's been watching the last few years. What's been working? I'll just put the ball in play. We have to get this guy out from second to third base. That doesn't mean hit a home run to left field. That means sometimes doing something that people won't remember. Hitting a ground ball to first base and guy boots it and you make it to first. You put pressure on teams. Yeah, I'm taking and by the way, guys, there's no perfect answer. A lot of people are like 9 Aaron Judges. You're not going to beat that team. I'm just letting you guys know my perspective, and that's not to say that that's right. Jake, I'm assuming your Chandler Simpson's your answer as well. I just think that style, it's hideous to watch. It's harder to play against. That's my answer. I think it's more difficult to deal with 4 or 5 guys in your lineup who just won't go away. They're just fouling pitches off. They slap a ball the other way. They're running up pitch counts. Then you got Aaron Judge. It's like he either goes yard or he walks. And it's more of a simple 1-2 punch. So Yeah, I feel like running into 1 through 9 is a nightmare of speed contact guys.
Because, like, basically with Chandler Simpson, you could just drop down a bunt.
Oh, you'd love that, huh?
You could always just smack a single and you can steal. But what happens, you're double stealing with Chandler Simpson, you're guaranteed safe, one of them. Like, it's just like, it's one of those things where it allows you to do so many things except hit home runs. Aaron Judge, we've seen him hit for the batting title. But at the same time, we've also seen how he does change his approach. He does get home run hungry. And like, let's say these two teams are going against each other for all 162 games. I would probably take Judge and Pryor.
Yeah, 100%. You would definitely take Judge. 100%.
In the postseason, I think really the point I was trying to make with this, and you immediately grabbed, is that contact is everything. Is everything. And so is pitching. Mark Pryor was great. I think the better thing would be probably like Barry Zito. That'd probably be a better, like, that was kind of what I was going for. Good pitcher, maybe not Hall of Fame worthy, but like definitely not Hall of Fame worthy. Barry Zito, just a good pitcher. Whereas you get a Hall of Fame pitcher and maybe not a Hall of Fame hitter, but like contact versus power in the Hall of Fame hitter aspect. So it's Hall of Fame pitcher versus Hall of Fame hitter, contact bat versus good pitcher. Like, neither are the Hall of Fame. So I think that's the thing, is like, overall, good pitching can come from anybody. That's what we've learned. Literally anybody can pitch well in the postseason. But that said, like, they're capable going into it. Not everybody can pitch well in the postseason, right? So everyone's capable until you find out who's actually capable. With hitting, it's like, it's very repeatable when you're a contact hitter. Because what do we always say? The postseason's going to be 2-1, 3-2, 4-3, right? It's always going to be like that 1 to 2 run margin, like most of those games.
And there aren't going to be any quality outs, by the way. In a game where there were 9 Aaron Judges, and obviously this sounds trivial and just really arbitrary, but the reality is it's more of an exercise to prove that. And again, no perfect way to do this. Aaron Judge style hitters, and not even really picking on Judge, this is more the power game. Guys that are looking to hit 20 plus home runs in the regular season and they strike out a lot, that's not the type of guy with a man on second base and no outs that's going to do less and get that guy over. He's not even looking to do a job. And if you might get to the postseason, all year he wasn't looking to do the job. And then all of a sudden you're like, do the job. He's like, okay, let me try. It's like asking someone to bunt who didn't bunt all year. Is that bunt getting down? Nope. He's going to foul that pitch off, and then the sign's coming off, and he's going to swing away. That's how it goes. And it never works, by the way. They never get a hit in that situation.
Never works.
So you have to ask, who is more deadly in a smaller sample size? Again, some people are going to take the exercise and say Judge is just a way better baseball player. That's going to work out. But I hesitate to say that, because when I look at the 04 championship series with the Yankees were decked with 3 and 4 hitters. One of the best lineups you've ever seen in your life. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go research that lineup. They didn't win the World Series. Why?
Yeah.
They just weren't able to do the little things. They refused to get runners over. Everyone was just taking turns trying to get the big hit. And this isn't something I'm guessing. My little parent was on the baseball. It was on the baseball team. And we've talked about that, right? These are things that come with the territory of playing games with the margins as slim as they are. It's not as simple as just putting it on paper. Oh, we've got a better baseball player at first base. He hit for more pop. He drove in more runs. By the time we get to October, you know who's most likely going to beat the Yankees? A contact hitting team who pitch well. Contact hitting team, we just can't strike them out. We go to our bullpen a little earlier because there's a ton of foul balls. There's a ton of knocks. There's a ton of shifts being beaten. And we've got to throw the baseball in Hedrick's hands, right? Maybe in a Giovanni Cruz, a young player. And that's how we get beat, right? And this isn't me rooting against the Yankees. It's just telling you guys, when you look at 2025, 2024, 2023, how did we lose? How? 2024, obviously, we ran into a much better baseball club than us. But if you look into 2017, 18, 19, 20, you look into all those seasons, it's all the same thing. It was us waiting for power hitters to do little things. We were waiting on star players, if you will, to do role player jobs. Not going to happen. So, Jake, I love the concept that you brought up. I take Chandler Simpson, and that might not be the most popular pick, given the fact that Aaron Judge is our guy. We love Aaron Judge. The point is you need role players to do role player stuff in October, and the Yankees have guys trying to play like stars. Jazz Chisholm's trying to play like a star. Great talent, but he needs to be more of a role guy. Do a job, practice that, and then when we get in October, we can expect him to do some of those things, and I'll feel a lot better about the Yankees in the postseason. But yeah. Jake, I think we've pretty much gotten caught up, but this is our last super chat here with Slim Lewis with a 2. Says, who said Judge ain't clutch? Clutch bomb for Aaron Judge. Needed it in the worst way. Mentioned that earlier. But again, Slim, thank you for
Appreciate
the super.
You, Slim.
Jake, do we want to get to our prize picks? And then we're going to get to our voicemails?
If we don't get there now,
oh boy.
It's going to be
We're almost at 2 hours. Yeah. So let's do prize picks.
No, it'll be Oppenheimer if we don't get to it now.
Yeah, let's do that. And how many voicemails do we have?
And we got the usual, probably the 3.
Okay. Yeah, let's
2.
Okay.
Not the usual. Anyway. Okay. Boom.
Oppenheimer unloaded.
There it is. Oppenheimer unloaded. What was the one? Bowling unloaded? Ethics unloaded was hilarious. I love that. When we were talking about like the people who were like doing the
the fake accounts. Yeah. So okay, we don't get Waka until Tuesday, I believe, and then that's what I thought Schlittler's pitching that game.
I thought Waka was tomorrow. Is he not?
Waka is tomorrow.
Yeah,
interesting.
This is going to be another like no runs type of game. It's going to be brutal. I'm telling you.
Well, you know who is striking out tomorrow, and I hate to say this, Aaron Judge is striking out tomorrow.
What makes you say that? He only has 12 strikeouts and 23 at bats.
So I'm rooting for Judge, but are we allowed to pick him?
I want to win, so I'm opening it up because don't look at it as I need them to strike out. Look at it like when they do. Oh, well, at least that worked out. You know?
I appreciate you saying this because obviously there's a ton of people who just like to project. They're like, these boys over here are rooting for Aaron Judge to strike out. Matter of fact, they're selecting him with their sponsor. But Aaron Judge strikes out half of his at-bats. And he's had a ton of them against Michael Wacha. So much so that I actually said Aaron Judge shouldn't play today. Like this was, if he didn't hit the home run today, this would be the day to give him that day, considering how he plays against Wacha. But now that he hit the home run, Aaron Judge doesn't sit tomorrow. He just plays, and you hope he turns it around.
It's such a shame Garrett Cole isn't a hitter because he'd be easy money for the strikeout. He struck out 8 times in 12 at-bats against. I had to throw it out there. No shade against Cole, but like he's actually in there. So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, cool. I don't know if he thinks that's cool, but you know.
So back to his Pittsburgh days, huh?
Yeah. So, all right. So the Royals hitters versus, because I'll just cut to the chase. Paul Goldschmidt is the only one who has MLB acceptable numbers against Wacha. Everyone else is essentially a public restroom. So there's that. And then Will Warren against Kansas City is really kind of shut down. Not a lot of opportunities, of course, but he has a 1.42 ERA, 15 strikeouts, and 12 2/3 innings pitched. So he's not seen them a ton, but when he has, he struck out Bobby Witt Jr. twice. He struck out Isaac Collins 3 times. Is Isaac Collins? Oh, dude, this is easy money. This couldn't be any more easy.
He'll go 5 for 5 tomorrow with 5 games.
I know he will not. He is going to strike out at least once, if not twice. I'm debating it. We're going to keep him at once, though. Easiest money you've ever seen. All right. Who else is striking out tomorrow? Leaning Carter Jensen. No, I think Bobby Witt Jr. is going to get up for the series. Caglione is going to strike out tomorrow.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd probably steer towards a lefty. Will Warren,
by the way,
pitch just really stood out that changeup. He feels more comfortable throwing it to lefties.
Yes.
Jack striking out.
He struck out Jack Caglione twice in his career. Caglione's only seen him 5 times. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Guy wants to know what's Warren's betting line for his case. Do we have that as far as total?
Yeah, I'll show that to you in a sec.
That's got to be at like 5.5, I'd guess.
I think it's like 4.5.
That seems low. I'd take that if it's at 4.5.
Yeah,
I'll
if it's
still
at
guess
4.5,
it's 5.5 though. That seems wild.
It's probably because it's a goblin. Like these are all goblins, but you can still make a lot of money off goblins, so we don't care. Oh my god,
3.5. The hell out of here. Can we push that to 4.5 actually?
Yes, I think we can. We're just on the hot, like the popular ones.
I see that. Yeah, let's go ahead and push that to 4.5. I mean, you can even argue you can push that to 5.5, but I think 4.5 is where I can.
How is that a goblin? There's 2 goblins.
Wait, so if I go to 5.5, now we go. Yeah, give me 5.5. Do it.
5.5.
Yeah, give me 5.5.
I love Will Warren strikeouts. Honestly, I think that's smart. All right, so this is what we're looking at so far. Everyone's striking out tomorrow. Nothing good. That is a 4-pick play.
Can we go into Michael Wacha as well? Again,
I don't like this. Like I could totally see it, but he's not consistent enough.
Yeah, where overall body of work. I mean, you see 5.36. I mean, that's interesting.
I'm willing to go down here,
out, but he's not like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do that. And then last, or do we want to do a 5-pick for 40?
I like where we're at. I don't want to force anything.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think this naturally came about. We're obsessed with the strikeouts. Literally nothing good is going to happen tomorrow. It's just a nuclear explosion. But hey, as long as we win, who cares, right? This does go up to 55. If you do the power play, we're going to stick with the flex play. We like the flex play. We do like the power play in some cases. If anyone messes this up, this should be a new thing, by the way. We should just pick. If anyone's going to mess this up, it's going to be Michael Wacha.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get shelled tomorrow. Like, that would be the only way. Because
I feel like there's just no way we
sense.
shell Michael Wacha. Like, why would we do that?
That's
and by the way,
I mean.
Devin, to really explain what you're looking at, if you see a red, like, demon on the screen, it's essentially saying you're pushing it. Where not a lot of people are comfortable going that far. Like, obviously, Will Warren's a strikeout guy. You look at his numbers this season, he's typically striking out 4 or more guys every start. That's what the numbers indicate. The further you push that up, the more red it gets. When you go into green territory, it shows that people are actually making that selection and taking that gamble, but they're not going as far as we're willing to go with Will Warren.
And
we're taking somewhat of a risk. Yeah, you don't get as good a value. So Will Warren, we're getting great value. Wacha, I feel like we're making more of a safe pick here.
It's all safe except for Will Warren, but the Will Warren, that if you're going to go unsafe, you want to go with Will Warren strikeouts, in my opinion. Especially because we already thought it was pretty low. So the lineup has been submitted there. You guys can submit yours as well if you want to get in on the action with Prize Picks. Use the code HMA. You can play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups, and check it out in the description below. It's available in 40 states, and Hawaii is not one of them.
No, it is not.
All right.
Down to voicemails now.
Yeah. Let's it's over 2 hours, so we are in, what do we want to call it? What's his name? Guy who
We're in Night
Batman.
Owl territory. Who?
The guy who directed Batman, Christopher Nolan. We are in Christopher Nolan movies territory. Every Christopher except for, I think, I want to say there's one. I think it's Memento. I think that's the only one that's not 2 hours.
Interesting.
Like,
yeah, I just saw
great movie, by the way.
Kind of off point, but I saw a post on Instagram and it was like Quentin Tarantino and Brad Pitt when they were making this movie. I guess Brad Pitt was like, "Hey man, cut. The scene's not going well." And I guess Tarantino was furious. He's like, "Hey man, if you want your career to continue in this business," I was like, "Who the hell does Quentin Tarantino think he is talking to?" That's Brad Pitt, brother.
That's
career.
insane.
He could be in 0 of your movies going forward ever, and he had a career. So I don't know. I didn't know what he was talking about, but anywho, who's leading us off tonight, by the way?
Yeah, so tonight is Ninja Hot Dog, who came in right after the game, it looks like, and then Kyle Malay threw something together at 9:08. So here we go.
He's got to be pumped about the Judge homer.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has finally happened, and the Yankees have won a game. I know, I couldn't believe it either. The Yankees have won the game, meaning that they will have a chance at winning the series. Unbelievable that even when we win, we can't even win a series like that.
Mother Nature.
But Judge finally got the home run. Still very disappointing for the rest of the offense. I'm still kind of mad. I feel like Judge, this could be a good start for the future. However,
Definitely.
it is just one home run. But I am glad that we got the win. But we just need to keep it up now and get some run support in there. But still, I don't think this is a good team. You're going to get wins like this occasionally. The Mets walked us off in Citi Field. But are they a good team? Hell no. So with that, I'm going to go because I don't want to leave a scroll. Fire Baboon, fire Cashman, Howe, sell the team. I got more to say, but it'll be in the super chats. Bye.
He went with the Holy Trinity. Sell the team, get fired, move on from him. But yeah,
we appreciate
I think Ninja did hit the nail on the head here with one thing that I wanted to point out. The only thing important about today's game, besides a win, and we'll take all those we can get, we need them, is Aaron Judge. We just need him to feel more confident and get back to Aaron Judge. He gets to that. That's a prerequisite to go where we really have to go. If he doesn't look like himself, how far are we going anyway? I understand that this is still a solid team. I'm not going to say that they're a bad baseball team. They're not, but they're highly flawed. And when Aaron Judge isn't playing like Aaron Judge, Jake, we're not much of a story. We're not really, you want to call it a crapshoot. I call that a Hail Mary. So Devin says, sell the team to Elon Musk. Oh, my Lord in heavens.
Call them the Zankies.
Yeah, I think Zankies, that might have been his son's name. Did you see his son's name? He named something.
X20W5.
What are we doing? Yeah, he's acting like he's sending him to Mars. I don't know what he's doing.
His son is an equation that he just wrote out.
It's like there's something wrong with you. But Brennan, he says no more Sorcerer Stone voicemails from the Hot Dog Ninja. Yeah, we really appreciate it because we can actually
rebuttal
by making it shorter.
Yes,
it forces us to address. You're forced to put out your main point, the things that are most important to you. I mean, I'll tell you right now, Jake. When I was asked to write essays, and they're like, the essay needs to be 5 pages long. I promise you, pages 2 through 4 were some of my worst work you ever seen. You never believe.
I have a hard stance on the whole has to be 500 words. Like that is the dumbest shit imaginable. So stupid. I could literally type the greatest essay ever, and it's 498 words. And like, no, it wasn't 500. It's like, and you know what people did to get out of that? They would like enlarge the period. Did you do that?
You're asking if I game the system? I invented gaming the system. Are you joking me? I was the type of kid where I'd put more work. I'd put more work into fooling the teachers than I would my own like curricular career. You know what I do? If I had a big project to do, I'd send in fake error codes, like basically a bunch of like code 1220122, and it would just go berserk on the screen, and I would send that to my teacher if I just didn't do the assignment, and she'd pull it up. You know what she'd say the next morning? I just show up oblivious, didn't even do it yet, and I know she's gonna say, hey Gary, when I actually clicked your assignment, it something went wonky. I'm not really sure what happened. So when you get home today, I know you can't do it here since you're in class, could you resend that to me? And I say, yeah, I'll do it as soon as possible. Like, how quickly do you need? You could just send it in by tonight. Just make sure it's done by tonight. And I just get all the time in the world. That's
amazing. I wish I was that smart back then.
You know, it'd been much better if I just did the work. So, I mean,
yeah, that's
who
true.
am I kidding?
Oh my God, Gary. Before we get into Buzz Lightyear's super chat.
What's
super voice. I don't even know what I'm saying now. He's got bionic
No, nobody
voice.
knows what you're saying. What are you saying here?
This is a horror movie. What on earth are we talking about? So ESPN national broadcast, it's at 3:40 p.m. That is absolute diarrhea.
ESPN. So who's on ESPN? Is it going to be Jessica Mendoza?
I don't know, but the game is on ESPN and it's at 3:40. Oh, he's just gone. He just tiki barbered me.
And that ball is gone. It's not good, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
it's not
no,
good.
It's not. No one. All right. No one wants to watch it on ESPN. I want to listen to Michael K. Like I didn't even get to listen to Michael K against the Rays. The Rays? Nothing against who covered him?
I have everything against who covered the game. Give me Michael K or give me death. It should be nobody else. I don't want anyone else to cover the game. I don't care. And if you want to bring in Joe Davis and have him plop his behind next to Michael K, go do that. I'd love to see that. But don't give me this hogwash. I don't want to see these other guys. I don't. I respect their careers. I want them to work as hard as they can. I want them to make as much money as possible. I pay a lot of money to listen to Michael K and company at Yes Network. I want to see more of them. I think it's fair.
Nobody under 80 is subscribed to ESPN. Devin is hilarious. Devin is literally, oh my God, dude. This has been so fun. Oh, it's Ryan Rucco. Okay. I don't know how, I didn't even really put it together. I like Rucco. I do. But Michael K, I grew up on that voice. Michael K is a big reason why I started this.
I'm good on.
I wanted to literally be a play-by-play guy because of Michael K. Like, he was an inspiration for me.
Well,
so yeah, I don't know. You are on a roll tonight, Devin. Good God. All right. On that note, let's listen to Buzz Lightyear, Kyle Malay.
Hey guys, Kyle Malay here. Well, that was an awesome end of the game for the Yankees. Aaron Judge hitting a 2-run walk-off home run. That was awesome. Maybe he can get going again, but the offense still sucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got the Royals coming up. We usually beat up on them, but who knows? Well, I'm watching the race right now, and rest in peace, Kyle Busch. But yeah, let's all have a good night, and hopefully the Yankees get on a winning streak. All right, have a good night, and go Yankees.
Yeah, Kyle, that Kyle Busch situation sucks in every way possible.
About it.
And I'm not even really a NASCAR fan. Like, really the only experience I have there is having played college baseball. They forced us to volunteer over here in Goodyear, Arizona, to do all concession stands. So anytime there would be a major event down in Goodyear, I'd be over there. And every once in a while, they'd select a few people to go down into the circle in the middle, and you get a chance to be by everything that's going on. And Kyle Busch was one of maybe 20 or 30 different drivers that I was able to be around. Seemed like everybody liked him. Everybody liked him. And so, yeah.
That was one of my guys. My favorite all-time driver is Jimmy Johnson. I love Jeff Gordon. But I really became a Kyle Busch fan because of all the hate he used to get. And I'm not talking the hate we talk about, right? It's not the Austin Wells hate. We're talking Kyle Busch would win and people would get mad and say whatever, he cheated or whatever. I just loved
the
his
arguments between drivers, which is pretty cool. I love that.
I just loved his I don't give a rat's ass how you feel about me. I loved that. I felt like he was totally fine being the villain in NASCAR, and he was not the villain. There's a guy named, we call him Wreck-It Ricky Stenhouse. That dude's the villain. He's trying to knock every single one of your favorite NASCAR drivers off the track.
I thought it was Danica Patrick. Danica Patrick was like, I'm just going to crash. How about that? I'm not going to be any good. Do you like that?
Oh, my God.
But yeah,
but
in all seriousness, the Kyle Busch situation just sucks. And it just feels like you should have more control over that stuff. And this stuff should never happen. This is the type of stuff that happens in life. People like Kobe Bryant, as prominent as they were in their basketball careers, they could be here today and gone tomorrow. And people just act like we're supposed to get used to it. I'll never get used to any of this stuff. There's nothing to get used to. I think
No.
the fact that we're unable to be used to it is enough. I think that kind of goes to show if people can't even grasp your loss, you probably lived a good life. So yeah, shout out to Kyle Busch. That blows. Horrible.
Yeah, no, and he had kind of that eerie message after his Truck Series win, saying something along the lines of, "You never know when your last one's going to be." I just feel so bad for his family. I mean, he had a really really young daughter, and then Brexton, his son. I think he just turned 11 3 days before his passing, and Brexton Busch. I think he's gonna be special. Like that kid is already a great driver. Like he's winning everything, and it's not even close. And they announced that they're gonna keep the 8 available so he can drive it when his time comes. So, yeah, it's just awful. Like I'm happy that they're doing that, but this shouldn't even be had to be done. I don't think anybody's won more than Kyle Busch, if I'm not mistaken. So
again, I don't know enough about
crazy
NASCAR in general.
Yeah, it was total shocker to see, especially because NASCAR put out like a tweet like, "Oh, he's gonna miss these races," and it felt off because like it went from this and then like it escalated. But I couldn't believe it. Like I thought somebody did one of those things where they're like, "Oh yeah, this person died," but they didn't actually die. Like it's just it really sucks.
We did the same thing with Kobe Bryant. By the way, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like Kobe Bryant was also 41. Not to draw too many comparisons, but you think he was 41 years old. So
yeah,
again, way too early to pass away. And then also when it comes to your kids, it still sucks to deal with people passing away and people leaving us when you're 60 and you lose your parents. It still sucks. Even you have a dog, you have a pet that for us, when I was raised with my mom, we had a ton. I mean, we had a bunch of Chihuahuas, ironically. And they're only living 15, 16 years at best if you treat them well, right? If you take care of all the dental, you take care of everything, which of course we always did. They were family to us. These dogs were 16, 17 years old, and it is just as hard taking them, right, for their last days. And then to be a kid and then lose your parent like this is just awful. So yeah, horrendous situation, terrible day, terrible week for NASCAR, and seems to happen obviously when you're around sports long enough. These situations happen. I saw Roberto Clemente in the comment section,
Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's
right. We see
that was really sad.
Jose Fernandez situation, the Kobe Bryant thing, and now this. And there's been ones before that too. Dale Earnhardt Sr., same type of deal. So yeah, it sucks. And last thing I'll say about it, it's you leave the track, it seems like, oh, this guy is just dealing with a minor issue, not too much of a problem. And then the next day, it's as bad as it could possibly be. Just a total bummer. But yeah, glad it was brought up on our Yankee show. Cause I mean, in the end, we're all fans of sports, and NASCAR is the biggest sport to some people.
Yeah, NASCAR is awesome. If you've never, checked it out, it's not for everybody, but it's one of those things that I think would really surprise you if you're trying to get into it. There's some really cool races. Bristol Motor Speedway is one. Daytona 500 is fun to watch.
If you have a nice RV, I'd recommend the trip. People are there like 6 days early. I'm like, they're tailgating for a week?
Yeah,
at these events.
So, I mean, they're huge events. It's like, think about like, I think I told you when Mobile, Alabama hosts the Senior Bowl, all of that money is what funds Mobile. You know what I mean? Like that's their Super Bowl, right? All eyes are on their city. So when you get like, the Daytona 500, it's like a whole event, And
Jake, have you ever been out there, by the way, on the track?
I've never been out there. No, I've never actually seen a NASCAR race.
Brother.
Yeah.
The track,
in person.
When I went out there into the center circle, the track. So I'm sitting there thinking they're just driving around in a circle, which technically they are, right?
No.
The road is like this.
Yeah, it's insane.
It literally, the drivers, when I was listening to them talk, they're like, oh yeah, you have to they were like talking to a lot of people who very clearly didn't watch NASCAR. They're like, yeah, we have to worry about like the tires sliding down the track and all this different
Getting
stuff. We have
loose,
to understand
yeah.
exactly. I'm like, what in the world? And so, yeah, it seems cool. I'm never going to get into NASCAR. I think my next sport is probably going to be hockey that I invest in. Soccer's not for me. NASCAR's not
Golden
for me.
Knights. Our Golden Knights. They were down 3-0 and they just 3-0 in this game.
Okay.
Started off as bad as it could be. They won 5-3. They're up 3-0, 1 win away from going to the Stanley Cup final.
They're up 3-0 in the series?
On the Avalanche, bro.
Wow.
They were heavy underdogs.
Golden Knights unloaded.
Yeah. Heavy underdogs, brother. Heavy.
But Jake, what do we want them to put in the comment section? After having watched this 2-hour and 20-minute long episode with a 3:30 ESPN start time tomorrow, what do you think?
Let's do something unloaded. Yeah, put Zankies unloaded. I don't know.
Nah, it's too complex.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's do bowling unloaded. No, that was too early in the show. Very early in the show. Let's do
fair point, Izzy.
How
about R.I.P. Kyle Push?
That I would like that. Yeah.
Drop that in the comment section if you stuck around with us for 2 hours and 21 minutes. And if you haven't subscribed and joined the family at Yankees Unloaded, make sure you guys do that. And again, before you go, type the video down below if you have that available below in the comment section. I'm still not sure if that's available on laptop or just cell phone, but I've seen it a few times on my phone. Hit that for us as well to help the channel grow. And before you guys go, like the video. Oh my